Brother and decided it would be awesome. I will do whatever it takes to get into this frat.
I'm expected to make some lifelong friends.
Whatever it takes.
This frat that are gonna make it as hard as possible.
It's under control.
Hello, lovelies. It is Lady Curious, back with some more true crime stories. This one's a little different. It's actually going to be a series on my channel, kind of sporadically in between other videos. It is about hazing in college, especially fraternities and sororities, and the dangers, also some of the deaths that has occurred due to hazing throughout the decades. I'm going to start with the year 2021, and it's going to go backwards. This is the 21st century decade that I'm going to start with. And then my next video will be from the years prior. And it'll eventually get up to, I think, around the 1800s. This is not as in-depth as my other videos. This is just kind of a skim on each person that has passed away and some things that has came out of them passing away, like laws and people going to prison for it. Hazing can ruin lives, not just the person that gets hurt, people also doing it. This video is for educational and documentary purposes only. Please be nice in the comments. I do want to hear y'all talk about it in the comments, or if you have any suggestions of anyone else that you have heard of that has been hazed and did not make it, please leave their name down below if you know anybody. There is one young man that started this series for me, and he wasn't really hazed. But this made me go, what else happens that's kind of like this in college when kids are drinking and partying and that people overlook, and these kids need to be remembered? This will actually probably be in my next video because this video only goes from 2021 to 2020, and this happened in 2019, but he's the reason why I'm doing these videos. And there's not much information. His name was William Alexander Molina. He was only 21 years old. And supposedly they were having a party with, unfortunately, Pi Kappa Alpha. And he was supposedly passed out on a reclining chair outside. And I guess his brethren thought it'd be funny to shoot him in the chest with a pellet gun. Well, unfortunately, this caused his death because it actually hit him in his heart. Pellet guns, they can go through the skin. I mean, people use them to kill animals, and it's worse than a BB gun. I remember one time when I was younger, I found my cat on my porch, could not breathe. We didn't know what was wrong with him. He was dying, and we had to rush him to the vet, and the vet found a pellet. And my neighbors was shooting my cat with a pellet gun, and he almost died because of it. So if it can affect animals, it can affect humans. But I always see his mother's TikToks, and it breaks my heart every single time I see them. Even tried to reach out to her to ask her if I can have more information so I can do kind of a deep dive video about it. She never got back with me. And I understand she's still grieving, completely understand. But in this video, we have 4 kids that passed away from hazing in 2021. And then the last one is from 2020. Hazing is more of a wanting to belong. You know, people do it because they want to get into the sororities and the fraternities to feel like they're included with someone. And to be honest, if you're part of one of these groups, you were like the in kids, the cool crowd. It just opened a lot of doors for more opportunities, and it was good to have a big group, a fraternity or sorority on your resume. I mean, it's the truth. It's wanting to be part of a brotherhood or a sisterhood. You know, hazing has gone back to the 1800s, probably further than that, where I feel like over the years it's gotten worse. It wasn't as bad. And now, you know, these kids, they're not being responsible as they are doing these radical, mean things to people to prove that they are worthy of being parts of the brotherhood or sisterhood. You know, it comes down to people spitting in drinks and making people drink it. It comes down to people eating weird bugs. It's kind of like Fear Factor almost. Like, what you think of that? That's kind of like hazing, making you stay up for days on end, making you drink and drink and drink and drink, making you do chores, weird chores for other people. And it has gotten so bad that I think in 2008 is when they finally came up with some type of law that puts some restrictions on hazing. But a lot of time these colleges, they know it's kind of like a tradition, you know, and they are like, oh, okay, well, we're going to turn our head for one day. And y'all can have this horrible hazing of these new students for one day. And to me, that makes the kids think they gotta go all out and ends up in deaths. And these are children, other children doing this to other children. You know, you have one guy telling him to drink 3 beers, but then the next guy that tells him to drink 3 beers, he doesn't know the guy before him told him to drink 3 beers. And it's like every single time someone sees them from the fraternity, they're like, oh, drink this or drink this or drink this, and they're hammered. It either needs to be completely outlawed or it has to have some restrictions. If it's a tradition, there should be some type of safe hazing, you know, with adults that aren't messed up because usually when they haze, they're drunk too, you know. And I recently heard a case about this one boy that died because he was fed too much chowder or something like that. And it blew my mind. Like, it just, I will be talking more throughout the videos about hazing and the dangers and all that stuff, but I do want to get to this first person. It actually happened November 20th, 2021. His name was Nigel, and he was only 21 years old, y'all. He was admitted into the fraternity Pi Alpha Phi, and this was at Michigan State University. He was found unresponsive at 2 a.m. In addition, 4 other kids were found unresponsive and transported to the local hospital with fat. So the firefighters came in and they tried to save him, but they were unable to. They were having a booze-fueled bash welcoming new members. Fat was a business student. He died of alcohol intoxication. And 3 other pledges were hospitaled after crossing party hosted by the now banned Pi Alpha Phi. The 4 were allegedly found unconscious and reeking of urine in a dirty basement, wearing nothing but shorts. The pledge master, Ethan Cowell, the pledge dad, Andrew Nigel, and no, Fat and Andrew were not related. And the frat president, Punk Fam, are facing charges of hazing resulting in death and hazing resulting in physical injury. Witness described the disturbing party, saying the pledges in the Asian American Interest frat were passed out in a dank basement with Cheerios cereal scattered on the floor. Pledges were left unconscious on mattresses on the ground, wearing nothing but shorts with words like simps scrawled on their backs. One person said they saw a pledge convulsing with blood dripping from his nose. The air got really thick. One person said it was really gross, like you could smell something, and it wasn't even just urine. It was a mix of something just kind of like vomit. Another attendee went down to the basement to gawk at the pledges and take photos before heading back up to the party. It wasn't a secret. Everyone knew what was going on, the witness said. It just happened to be that people would go down there I guess take photos, go back up, dance, party, get bored, go back down there. Police officers called to the party around 2 a.m. found Fat unconscious and not breathing. An autopsy report confirmed alcohol intoxication was the cause of death. According to the news, the 3 accused former frat boys, who are facing up to 15 years in prison, $1,000 fee, are not enrolled in the MSU for the fall, the Lansing State Journal reported. A lawyer for one of the accused said that the case will come down to whether Fat was forced into drinking. The question becomes whether or not this is hazing, or this is where I am not minimalizing anything. Was this drinking at a college party, which occurs right, wrong, or indifferent all day, every day throughout the country? And that was said by Andrew Nigen's attorney named Brian Morley. Yeah, Brian, you're a piece of crap. Just letting you know. That's fucked up. Okay. East Lansing police said Fat died from drinking too much alcohol. This isn't the first time a college student has died from hazing, but this incident has some Greek chapters taking a closer look at themselves. The first step really is just making sure it doesn't happen to begin with. That's really the only way you can prevent it, because there's not really a need for it there, said another president of a different Greek fraternity. There really just isn't much purpose. He said his fraternity doesn't haze their pledges because it's just not worth it, in his opinion. The reward of getting an expanded friend group and things like that for however long you're in college isn't worth having to do all the sorts of this extra stuff and, in some cases, die for it. Hazing has been around for hundreds of years. It's been used for fraternities and sororities, sports teams, military units. However, public opinion has since turned against it in the recent years, and it's also a violation of the Student Code of Conduct at MSU and many other schools. It really just falls on the chapters at this point. There's a lot of personal accountabilities that needs to be taken, and I think we do a good job of that by just being transparent with people. He said that the university did their part. The Pi Alpha Phi chapter was disbanded and privileges were revoked. And he says that him being his own president of his own Greek fraternity, he'll be making sure no one in his fraternity is being secretly hazed. Aside from just not doing it, the main thing is, I think, really kind of repeatedly taking the temperature, I guess, with our pledge classes. Really just checking in, making sure everything's all good with them and that they're all having fun. Hazing is illegal in Michigan under Garrett's law. Michigan State University officials said they have a strict zero tolerance policy when it comes to hazing. 3 students from MSU have been charged, and that is Ethan Tin Cow, Andrew Hong Nigen, and Hong John Hu Pham, and they were charged with 1 felony count of hazing resulting in death and 3 misdemeanor counts of hazing resulting in physical injury. On September of 2022, though, Hong John Hu Pham charges were dropped. That's crazy to me. On June 5th, 2023, the family of the deceased Michigan State University student is filing a lawsuit against 17 named people and 50 unnamed people. And the other 2 that were charged still have not gone to trial yet. So this is still fresh. They haven't even gone to trial yet for Fat's death. And I'm hoping throughout the trial more comes out from witnesses about what really happened to the boys. Don't like to say this, but I see that it could be a hate crime because all the boys that were down there, they said were of Asian descent, that were all passed out and had to go to the hospital. So that's something to think about. And I know that throughout these videos, there's going to be more of that too, that, certain races and certain ethnicity or certain skin colors, you are going to be pinpointed throughout this. And I know it. And it just really sucks that our society is like this. I'm very sorry to Fat's family. He was a young, inspiring, smart man, and I'm very sorry for your loss. Now, the next person that I'm going to talk about, this happened in 2021, Lofton Hazelwood. He was only 18. The University of Kentucky, and the fraternity was called Farmhouse. Thomas Lofton Hazelwood was a Henderson native in Kentucky, was identified by the Fayette County Coroner's Office as a student who died. Lofton was a first-year agricultural economics student at University of Kentucky. In a statement, his fraternity's CEO referred him as a new member. Family members said he was the youngest of 4 siblings and became interested in agriculture after working a summer job on a farm. He was a graduate of Henderson High School, where he played on the golf team. The Kentucky Police Department was called to the farmhouse fraternity at approximately 6:22 p.m. Monday evening regarding reports of an unresponsive student. The student was taken to the UK Healthcare Chandler Hospital. The attempts to revive him were unsuccessful and he was pronounced deceased early Monday evening. An initial report from the Fayette County Coroner's Office said that Lofton's cause of death, pending further investigation, is presumed alcohol toxicity. His time of death was listed at 7:06 p.m. Monday, and the manner was listed as accident. First 2 investigations have been launched by the university. UK police already have begun its investigation and is in the process of interviewing people. UK's Office of Student Conduct also has begun a review. Once complete, the message added, both of these investigations will be made public, including any findings of recommendations, subject to necessary redactions to protect the privacy of the students, but we will understand better what happened and will communicate with Lofton's family and our university family. Third, as of today, the university has suspended all activities for the farmhouse fraternity while these investigations are ongoing. The focus of the chapter and of university officials involved in this review needs to remain fixed on understanding what happened and finding answers. This happened on October 18th, 2021. First-year student was found unconscious at the fraternity house. He later passed away of alcohol poisoning. I had no clue what was going on. He was joining the farmhouse, and we were told that it's just a bunch of good old boys, Lofton's mother said in a recent telephone interview. What the Farmhouse Fraternity is a Greek organization founded by students at the University of Missouri in 1905. It was formed by male students studying agriculture with the objective of building the whole man through 4-fold development: intellectually, spiritually, socially, morally, and physically. The fraternity has been on University Kentucky's campus since 1951, and it's one of the 20 social fraternities. Organization governed by the school's Interfraternity Council on the campus. Farmhouse has 48 total chapters on campuses in the U.S. and in Canada. The time after her son's death was marked by grief shared by community in Henderson County, where Lofton resided most of his life. Signs, t-shirts, and text messages in support of Lofton supported his family through forever heartbreak. 2 months after Lofton's death, high school students proposed anti-hazing legislation during the annual Kentucky Youth Assembly mock government. Students approved the bill overwhelmingly, laying the foundation for Senate Bill 9, known as Lofton's Law. Since the bill was introduced last year, Tracy Hazelwood has engaged with students, community members, and legislators on the dangers of hazing. A tradition, what happens in secrecy, and she says too often. It's not limited to college campuses. Just last month, an alleged hazing incident was reported among football players in Henderson County High School. Hopefully to God they'll stop. My son passed away, and I don't want anyone else to ever go through this. We feel like we owe it to him to do this. Nolan, a University of Kentucky senior and a member of the Beta Theta Pi fraternity, agrees. Though he was never hazed, he supports anti-hazing legislation. If a parent sends their son off to college, I don't think they should die for no reason at all, just so they can make friends, Nolan said. And that is so true, Nolan. You know, it sucks because I don't think anyone's been charged with his death. They made it, they pronounced it as an accident. They're no accident. They tie up these guys and they force them on their knees and they pour alcohol down their throats forcibly. Not all hazing, but some, yes. And we don't know if that's happened. We don't know if that happened with Lofton. And it's like he was just swept under the rug. No questions asked. I don't know. I guess the investigation's still going on, but that's all the information I have so far. I'm very sorry to Lofton's family and his mother. I just hope that y'all are healing. And it's amazing that they are trying to get Lofton's law added as an anti-hazing law. And I hope it goes through. I really do. And I hope it's implemented. The next person, his name is Stone Foltz. It happened in 2021. He was part of Pi Kappa Alpha, Bowling Green State University. Foltz was only 20 years old. He allegedly consumed copious amounts of alcohol on the night of March 4th, 2021. He was found unconscious by his roommates and flown to a Toledo hospital where he was put on life support until he eventually died on March 7th, 2021. His death was due to alcohol intoxication. So, 5 former Bowling Green State University fraternity brothers convicted of hazing Stone Foltz were sentenced Thursday by Wood County Common Pleas Judge Joel Coleman. And these are their names. Dylan Dunson, 22 of Cleveland, previously pleaded guilty to reckless homicide, tampering with evidence, and obstructing justice, all third-degree felonies, and 8 counts of hazing, 7 counts of failure to comply with underage alcohol laws, and 1 count of obstructing official business, all misdemeanors. Dunson served as president of Bowling Green's chapter of Pi Kappa Alpha International Fraternity, better known as PIKE. Foltz, sophomore from Delaware, Ohio, was rushing the fraternity in early 2021 as part of the pledging process. Foltz attended a Big Little Night initiation event March 4th, 2021, during which he drank a liter of Evan Williams bourbon. He died several days later of fatal alcohol intoxication. In the emotional plea, Foltz's father Corey asked Judge Coleman to sentence the men in the maximum allowed under Ohio law. Coleman sentenced Dunson 21 days in jail, followed by 28 days of house arrest and then 3 years of probation. Are you fucking serious? This makes me feel sick. That's all he got for being part of murdering somebody? In Ohio, reckless homicide is punishable by up to 5 years in prison. That should be way more than that, y'all. And $10,000 in fines. Garrett Rizzle, 19 of Olin, New York, pleaded guilty to reckless homicide and 8 counts of hazing. He was the first to enter such a plea in connection with Foltz's death. Rizzle was sentenced to 28 days in jail starting July 18th, along with 28 house arrest and 2 years probation. Ben Boyers, 21 of Vilvana, pleaded guilty to third-degree felony reckless homicide, fifth-degree felony obstructing justice, and 8 counts of misdemeanor hazing. He was sentenced to 28 days of house arrest and 2 years probation. Niall Sweeney, 21 of Erie, Pennsylvania, pleaded guilty to felony tampering with evidence and hazing. He was given a 2-week sentence in jail, 28 days of house arrest, and 2 years of probation. Aaron Leanne, 21 of Loveland, Ohio, pleaded guilty to hazing, tampering with evidence, and obstructing official business. He was also sentenced to 28 days of house arrest and 2 years probation. All of the men sentenced Thursday were also ordered to complete 100 hours of community service, 10 hours of which, Coleman said, the court will credit for any anti-hazing related activities they complete. Dunson and Prizzle are also required to finish their college degree as part of their probation. 3 other men have yet to be sentenced, and that is Jacob Wren, 21 of Delaware, and Troy Hickerson, Grove City, to a trial last month in Wood County Common Pleas Court. They were convicted by a jury of several lesser charges. Wren was found guilty of hazing, failure to comply with the underage alcohol laws, and obstructing official business, all misdemeanors. Henriksen, was found guilty of 8 counts of hazing and 7 counts of failure to comply with the underage alcohol laws, all misdemeanors. The jury found them not guilty of several more severe felony charges, including involuntarily manslaughter, reckless homicide, and felonious assault. Friend and Hickerson will be sentenced in July. Canyon Claudwell, 21 of Dublin, Ohio, was convicted on 1 count of obstructing justice and 8 counts of misdemeanor hazing. Claudwell previously was indicted on involuntary manslaughter and tampering with evidence, both third-degree felonies. Obstructing justice and 8 counts of hazing, 7 counts of failure to comply with underage alcohol laws, and obstructing official business. The involuntary manslaughter charge against Caldwell was dismissed. The tampering with evidence charge was reduced to obstruction, 5th-degree felony. The charge carries with it a maximum sentence of 1 year in prison. All of Caldwell's remaining misdemeanors were also dismissed. He will be sentenced later this month. Now that is the most bull crap I've ever heard. They need to pass a law to make these sentences longer. That blows my mind that all these boys can get away with doing this to Stone and him dying from it. He was only 20, y'all. 20. He was a baby. He just started his life. Just got out of high school. Just got into college. This is really upsetting me. It baffles me that all these boys colluded together to try to cover up what happened. So, Bolt's parents, Sherry and Corey, said after Thursday's sentences, while may be the conclusion for the men who were convicted, there will be no closure for the family until hazing is eradicated from college campuses. Universities and Greek organizations must be held accountable for creating and supporting environments that allow hazing to thrive. Stone and countless other students have been tragically injured or killed because people in power refuse to protect them. We fully intend to take steps to require all Ohio universities to actively enforce their police so that hazing, which is rampant on their campuses, ends for good. There's no other accountable alternative from Stone's family or our family. These young men now have criminal records that will follow them for the rest of their lives. Their acts are senseless and completely preventable, but these young men were acting with a system created for them by adults. A lot of people agree that hazing has been tolerated by universities and Greek organizations on campus for far too long, and that real changes need to take place in order to save young lives. We're committed to doing everything we can within our justice system to hold those in power, including the university, accountable for their inaction and woeful failure to end hazing on campus. 8 people are facing charges in the death of Stone Foltz. 6 of the 8 are facing felony involuntary manslaughter charges in Folt's death. The Wood County Prosecuting Office announced that indictments are on Thursday. Other charges include reckless homicide and hazing and evidence tampering. Foltz was given a copious amount of alcohol at an off-campus party hosted by the Ohio College's Pi Kappa Alpha chapter, which is also known as Pike. Members of the fraternity dropped Foltz off at his apartment after the party, and his roommates called 911. He was in dire condition when he arrived at the hospital, according to dispatch. The March death isn't the first time a chapter of the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity has been penalized. In 2013, the Miami University chapter was suspended after 70 screen grabs a post found on Facebook page for active members included semi-nude photos of young women, references to drug sales and hazing. The international fraternity is horrified and outraged by this incident. The fraternity's national headquarters said in a statement shortly after Foltz's death, the fraternity has a zero-tolerance policy towards illegal activity, substance abuse, bullying, and hazing of any kind. Now, yes, they can put policies into place. They can put laws into place, but kids will be kids. And kids will try to secretly keep their traditions and still haze members. It is, I think, the kids' responsibility to tell someone that they're being hazed. Or if you see something, say something. That is what I always say. I am very sorry to Stone's family that they lost such a light in their life, and it breaks my heart. It really outrages me, to be honest. That is such a fucking problem. This is a problem, and no one is doing really anything about it. Yeah, like I said, you can have policies and laws and stuff like that, but it's still going to happen. The next person I will talk about is Adam Oakes, and this happened in 2021. Delta Chi, Virginia Commonwealth University. Oakes, a 19-year-old pledge, was told to consume large amounts of Jack Daniels whiskey at a fraternity party the night of February 26, 2021. He was found dead the next morning. Adam spent the fall and the early spring semester traveling back and forth between VCU and home. Sometimes he would go home for a long weekend and stay a few extra days because he was lonely without a social outlet. Adam had a strong group of friends from high school, but he'd always been a homebody and very close to his parents. Because of the campus pandemic restrictions, Adam was having a hard time meeting people because he was sequestered in his room doing online classes and studying. He was searching for a group of guy friends like he had back home, so he decided to join a fraternity. Tragically, the decision to join the Delta Chi fraternity at VCU cost 19-year-old Adam his life. On February 26, 2021, Adam attended the Delta Chi Big Little Brother Reveal Night. The event was his first as a pledge, and along with a few of his friends from high school, he hoped the process would lead to Delta Chi membership. Early the next morning, Adam was found unresponsive in the Delta Chi house where the event was held. When first responders arrived, Adam was pronounced dead at the scene. The medical examiner's report stated that Adam's cause of death was alcohol overdose. The medical examiner's findings read in part, "We now have the scientific evidence needed to confirm his death was caused by hazing. Specifically, the excessive amounts of alcohol in the fraternity supplied and pressured him to drink that night at the Delta Chi Big Little event." In the weeks leading up to his death, Adam was at home with his parents. They knew he was participating in fraternity recruitment. But not knowing anything about the fraternities at VCU, his mom and dad, Eric and Linda, supported their son's decision to join, thinking their only child was safe by joining a chapter that was officially recognized by the campus. They were happy he was trying to make friends, getting out of his residence hall, and breaking out of his shell. During Adam's Zoom interview with Delta Chi, Eric overheard someone ask Adam what he would bring to Delta Chi, should they offer, and why should they offer him membership. Adam responded that he had given a lot of thought to what he could bring to the group, and that he was great with websites and social media. He felt like he could help with their online presence. The Delta Chi members responded enthusiastically to Adam's answer because their current website guy was graduating that spring, so Adam could feel that need for them. Adam was really excited to feel like he found a place where he fit and had something to offer, Eric remembers. After the interview process in mid-February, Delta Chi offered Adam a bid to join their pledge class. Adam had been at home, virtually attended classes, and returned to VCU that week specifically so that he could attend the Big Little Reveal Night event. The day before he went back to Richmond, Adam and his mom went shopping for a suit to wear at the upcoming pledge events. Prior to leaving his resident hall to attend the event that Friday night, Adam was nervous about what the Delta Chi members were planning that night. He was anxious and worried. We didn't know what fraternity he was pledging, so we had no information about them. We only knew that Adam was going to learn who his big brother was that night. The big brother was to be his mentor, the person to look out for him, take care of him, show him the ropes, and teach him about the fraternity life. That night ended up being Adam's first and last night as a Delta Chi pledge. No one looked out for him. After Adam's death, his family learned even more about his character. Adam's memorial service, a friend shared a story about a girl sitting on the floor in the hallway of their high school. She was crying, and students bustled around her to get to class. When Adam saw her, he stopped and sat down next to her. He didn't know her, But Adam told his friends to go ahead to class without him so he could sit with her until she felt better. That's just who he was. He never left without hugging you goodbye and saying, I love you. His last text to me was just saying, I love you. That's the type of kid he was. He wanted you to know how he felt about you, no questions asked. His death devastated the entire family, especially his mom and dad. Eric shares when Adam died, so did a huge piece of us. He was our only child and a true gift from God, as we thought we couldn't have children. He was our sunshine. His death had ruined our lives and left a huge hole in our hearts that will never be repaired. We miss him so much. How do you go on without the light of your life? Adam's family quickly formed the Love Like Adam Foundation to keep his memory alive while also doing good for others. Their foundation will award 3 annual scholarships to students from Adams High School who mirror Adam's characteristics and traits. Students who may not have a 4.0 GPA are kind and good to other people. They also want to share Adam's story to equip graduating seniors and their families with a better understanding of the pressures students face during the transition from high school to higher education. The family is lobbying to change Virginia's hazing law from a misdemeanor to a felony to deter hazing, as well as hold those who haze more accountable for their actions. Adam's family connected with the Gordy Center shortly after Adam's death, and the Gordy Center reached out with condolences. It was so beneficial to read about Gordy, his story, and his family journey throughout this process. Our hope is that the Gordy Center will continue to get the word out about hazing, its prevention, and its impact on everyone involved. Adam was an amazing person, a kind and caring soul who also tried to include everyone and everything he did. He is more than what happened to him. We hope that sharing Adam's story will help the Gordy Center educate others in the dangers of hazing. Adam's death, as well as the death of other hazing victims, was preventable. All were special kids with amazing lives to be led, only to be cut short by the choices other people made to haze, not get help, and continue a tradition of destruction. If you think this won't happen to you, please think again. Nobody should fear for their life to gain entry or acceptance into a fraternity, sorority, or any other type of club. We do not want any other family members to go through this pain, heartache, and misery we go through every day since Adam's death. Adam had such a wonderful future ahead of him, but was senselessly cut short. Please educate your kids on what constitutes hazing, what to do if they see it happening, and all the above. Teach them what to do when they think someone needs help, Eric pleads. Linda's birthday came on June 27th, exactly 4 months after Adam's death. Eric heard an alarm going off in their house that day and traced the sound to Adam's MacBook. Adam had set a calendar reminder for Linda's birthday. So when Eric looked at the laptop screen, the calendar alert, and the note Adam had written with the alarm, Happy birthday, Mama. You're my favorite. The moment was a sweet and heartbreaking reminder of their precious boy and what they have lost, Eric says. Adam didn't want to die that night. He only wanted to join the fraternity to make new friends. Adam believed in being kind to everyone and bringing out the best in people. I know he made my wife and I better just by knowing him. It's time for hazing to be eliminated for the safety and health of all. We want Adam's legacy to be about change. Family of Adam is suing the Delta Chi fraternity and several others for $28 million, according to a lawsuit filed Monday. Witness said that the other fraternity members took Adam and the other pledges outside to throw up on the lawn, but Oakes did not throw up, according to the lawsuit. They even took him back to the fraternity house and abandoned him on the floor, the lawsuit states. The next morning, Oakes was pronounced dead at the scene with a blood alcohol content level 0.419%, according to the suit. In the wrongful death lawsuit obtained by CNN, 13 VCU Delta Chi chapter members are listed as though being involved in the hazing procedure. 11 of them were charged in connection with the death of Oakes by the Richmond police. All 11 were charged for unlawful hazing of a student and 6 were additionally charged with purchasing and providing alcohol to a minor in September 2021. Of those 11, 4 have pleaded guilty, 3 have not entered a plea, and 2 had their cases dropped. 1 pleaded no contest and 1 entered a different plea, according to the court records. The Richmond Commonwealth Attorney's Office told CNN that since several of the defendants charged in the case are pending court dates, the rules and ethics and professional responsibility prevent them from commenting on the case. According to the suit, the VCU chapter of Delta Chi operates as an unincorporated association, but the incorporated arm has the power to revoke the charter of the chapter, order that its activities cease, and in fact deem the existence of the unincorporated association as being terminated. Unknown to Adam and his family, and known and never disclosed by Delta Chi or the VCU chapter to Adam, is that the VCU chapter has a long history of engaging in high-risk misconduct at VCU that resulted in VCU revoking its recognition in August of 2018 and prohibiting its presence or activity at VCU for a period of 4 years due to serious health and safety concerns involving the VCU chapter and its activity, the lawsuit states. Despite this, as chapter's legal counsel worked to reinstate the organization on campus, the lawsuit added. In statement shared with CNN Wednesday, Delta Chi's international headquarters for the fraternity said Adam's death and other tragedies in recent years make clear that fraternity members, organizations, and society continue to have more work to do. Hazing, the misuse of alcohol, and putting the health and safety of any person at risk has no place in Delta Chi, the statement said. Fraternity continues to fund hazing prevention research, support meaningful anti-hazing legislation, and provide member safety and hazing prevention education in Delta Chi chapters. Wow. Wow. So, like, at the time, they weren't even part of VCU. They provoked them for 4 years, and they were still acting like a fraternity in 2021, and they were provoked in 2018. So that was only 3 years. They still had a whole year to go before they can try to reinstate their fraternity. But Adam and his family and all the other people didn't even know this. Wow, y'all. And this one really had me choking up, especially about knowing a little bit more about Adam and what his family said about him. That breaks my heart so much. He was just a kid trying to make friends. So just know anytime that you join a fraternity or sorority or club and they say, well, we got some hazing, please be careful. Please, please, please be careful. If you feel that it's going too far, you scream no and just walk away. Walk away. And then you need to let someone know what's going on because it could end up saving someone's life. I'm very sorry to Adam's family. I'm so sorry that happened to y'all. Sending you huge hugs and healing. The next person is Gracie Leanne Dimmitt. I hope I'm saying her last name right. She was part of Kappa Pi Alpha, Emory and Henry University. Dimmitt and other sorority sisters partook in Henry College's The 500, a tradition in which students would drive various streets near campuses very quickly and dangerously, attempting to drift the cars. Dimmitt was sitting behind the driver's seat when the fishtail occurred and the car flipped into trees. Now, parents of Gracie Dimmitt have sued Emory and Henry College for her death at age 20 on July 16, 2020. Gracie was a member of Kappa Pi Alpha KPA sorority, to wit, a KPA driver in an SUV speed along a gravel road adjacent to campus at breathneck speed while Gracie and 2 other occupants screamed as if they were on a roller coaster. Police reported the driver had indulged in cannabis from a bong and admitting sipping a partial alcoholic drink. Seconds before the crash, the KAP sisters took a group photo. Gracie's life was at risk and the moment she stepped foot in the car, said nationally known activist Courtney White, cousin of pledge Adam Oakes, who died in a hazing at Virginia Commonwealth University in 2021. Emory and Henry students called the stunt 500, a reference to the Indianapolis 500. Gracie's scream died with her. Car sailed off the gravel into a tree. Media had reported no deaths occurring during the pandemic of 2020. HPO's belief that 2020 had been deathless disintegrated with Gracie Dimmitt's tragic passing. Her KPA sorority sister is soon to face a grand jury considering involuntary manslaughter charges. An honor student and former starting basketball player Lauren N. Zeller now will spend the rest of her life with the consequences of bad judgment. It happens regularly that a death is found to be the hazing months or a year following a tragedy. Although rare, a death can occur to a initiated member like Gracie. No longer a pledge, according to Courtney White. The database at handnuclear.com, my unofficial clearinghouse of hazing deaths, show one or more deaths from hazing in student social groups each year from 1959 to 2021. More outstanding one or more deaths from hazing in college or high school occurred annually from 1948 to 2021. Exceptions were 1952 and 1958. When I started covering hazing deaths as a reporter nearly 50 years ago, the media referred to hazing as a good-natured and a hazing death as accidental. No more. The night Dimmitt died, she had hosted a gathering at her apartment with other sorority members, the lawsuit states. One of the sorority members drove as other sorority sisters rode as passengers. When the car made it to the top of the hill, the driver exited the vehicle to take a picture of the group, commemorating what in all likelihood would be their last running of the 500 before graduation. The car ride then became deadly. The driver drove the vehicle at an excessively high rate of speed and fishtailed into a turn on Ida Bena Road, a gravel road, causing the vehicle to overturn and crash into trees. The lawsuit notes that the driver never applied her brakes. Previous to Dimmitt's death revealed that she had been sitting behind the driver's seat and died of blunt force trauma. Last October, a grand jury indicted the driver, Lauren Nicole Saylor, on a charge of involuntary manslaughter. According to online court records, the case hasn't gone to trial yet. The lawsuit alleges that the college established regulated this system of fraternities and sororities, none of which are affiliated with any national organizations, as part of its effort to attract and retain students. Emory and Henry used its Greek system as a marketing tool to attract students, including Gracie, with representations of a active and safe social life at Emory and Henry, the lawsuit states. The lawsuit alleges that the sorority Dimmitt joined in the fall of 2018, Kappa Phi Alpha, still participated in hazing events. The lawsuit claims the 500 constitutes hazing because it recklessly and intentionally endangers the health and safety of Emory and students in connection with their members in a sorority. Hazing is illegal under Virginia state law. Dimmitt's father alleges that Gracie participated in a number of hazing activities, which included physical beatings, zip-tying pledges to one another and consuming massive quantities of alcohol, and a activity called the Emory 500 or the 500. The lawsuit claims the college had been aware of the Emory 500 for many years prior to Dimmitt's death. After she died, the Dimmitts were informed that she died while doing the 500. They had never heard of it before. Dimmitt's parents say they didn't know about the hazing until their daughter died. We were unaware of hazing incidents prior to Gracie's death, but have since found evidence of hazing by way of pictures, group chats, videos, and sorority binders, not only including 500ing, but other dangerous activity as well. Dimmitt's parents wrote to the news channel 11. Sorority sisters of Gracie's reached out to us as well following her death. Since the college graduates Greek organization at the school, the lawsuit accuses it of several counts of negligence, claiming that Emory and Henry endorsed Greek life on campus and encouraged students to join organizations which Emery and Henry knew were engaging in risky and dangerous hazing activities. The lawsuit by Dimmitt's father seeks a jury trial, $5 million in damages, and $350,000 in punitive damages. The Dimmitts don't want this to happen to anyone else's daughter or son. They feel very strongly that college needs to be fun, but it needs to be safe, and they want changes made so that this doesn't happen to someone else. According to Dimmitt's parents, E&H President John Wells told them the college was taking action following their daughter's death. We were told that the process of petitioning the road to be closed for through traffic had already begun, and the student's code of conduct would be updated to include any student found 500ing would face expulsion, Dimmitt's parents wrote. As of today, we have not seen the language added to the student code of conduct. It is currently available online, nor was it ever addressed publicly or privately within Greek life or other students. There is only one residence on Ida Bena Road, and it was purchased after our initial meeting by Emery and Henry, and has since been converted to student housing, making the gravel road even more frequently traveled by students. According to Morrison, had the college taken action, the lawsuit wouldn't have been filed. If Emery would have added to the code of conduct that if anyone is caught doing the 500, they'll be suspended or expelled, as they told the Dimmitts they would immediately after Gracie's death. If they had taken real steps to close the road, we wouldn't be here, Morrison said. It's as simple as that. We would not want to be here, but they were ignored. And when we tried to reach out to them and do something about this, we were ignored. Yikes, y'all. Yikes. This college promised her parents that they would, start an action, and they never followed up on it. They just ignored it, never did nothing about it. And when they tried to say, hey, why aren't you doing something about this? They ignored them. So the parents said, okay, lawsuit. If you're not going to try to make some changes where other students do not die, we will make you listen to us and make you go, maybe we should have done these things to help make our students safe at our school, and we wouldn't be getting sued the crap out of right now. There are so many times that people have noticed hazing going on, and they just turn the other way and act like it's not. Older people think, oh, it's just hazing, it's just fun, it ain't that bad. No, it's not. Not when you're tying kids and beating them. I mean, have they not realized how bad hazing has gotten? It's not something that is fun anymore. It's very dangerous. It's killing people. It's time for adults, teachers, faculty, staff, Board of Education, whoever is in charge. They need to see how dangerous this is. They let these immature kids do this to these other kids, and it is killing them. Oh yeah, maybe we shouldn't make him eat his own feces, or make him, maybe we shouldn't dig a hole and put people in the ground during freezing temperatures and hose them with a water hose when they can go into hypothermia. With common sense, it's like they lack the common sense. It just upsets me, y'all. This was the last person of today's video, but eventually I will come out with another one. Y'all, I'm getting so upset. I'm over here. My sassiness is coming out. I'm cursing up a storm. I'm mad. But this stuff shouldn't be happening. I know this really didn't tell all the details and every single thing about the person, but like I said, this is just kind of a little series I'm doing. So if you have any suggestions of a case that you would like me to cover, I will take it into consideration and I will dive deep into it and kind of put my spin on it. If there was stuff left out, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to go into detail and to get all the details. I was just trying to get a synopsis of each case. But that is the end of today's video. I am very happy that you were here and you heard me rant and vent, and yeah, sometimes I get crazy. I'm sorry. But I believe everyone should have a voice and be remembered. And also, these are lessons that we can learn It's something that we can learn from. And it's just getting the word out, y'all. Just please be safe. Let your kids know the dangers of hazing. And if you see something, say something. I love y'all so much. Thank you for being here. I will see y'all next month. I will see y'all in January. Please be safe and like and subscribe.
If I would've known that you wouldn't be here anymore, I would've made the moments last a little longer. 'Cause now I'm alone, and you're just a memory in my mind. I would've given anything to say goodbye. If I would've known. If I would've known. Oh, I remember how we would laugh all the time, but now you're not around. And I'm just trying to find something else to fill the empty spaces you left behind. But nothing ever seems to work. I've been thinking about the things that you used to say, even not around. You're in my head every day, but it's fine, I don't mind.
And I know that if you stick together and trust each other, that you will work through it. I can't wait to call you guys my brothers.
He's been shot. Perpetrator? The boy's poodle-loving 74-year-old gun-toting grandma.
911, what's your emergency?
I've just been shot.
What? Who?
I've just been shot.
Where are you at? Okay, how did you get shot? Who shot you?
My grandma shot me.
Your grandma and grandpa shot you?
My grandma.
Just a quick warning, this video will contain explicit content. The video will tell some gruesome details about murder victims and crimes committed by a very disturbed individual. This is not a topic that can be treated lightly, and as such, viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, lovelies. It is Lady Curious with another true crime video. Remember, these videos are for educational and documentary purposes only. This case today, when I read about it, it blew my mind. I was like, this cannot be real. This cannot be real. Especially with the 911 call that I heard. It was so devastating, y'all. I will have that in this video. You'll get to hear it as well. Today's case is a little shorter than most. I didn't have a lot of time to do a deep dive on this at all, but I wanted to get another video out this month for y'all. This case is about Jonathan Hoffman. It happened in 2012. He was a 17-year-old high school student. He was a senior at Farmington Central High School. At the time this story unfolds, he was actually living with his grandparents, Sandra and Fred Lane, in the Maple Place Willis condominium in West Bloomfield. His parents, Michael and Jennifer Hoffman, who were divorced, were living in Arizona at the time with Jonathan's younger sister, Jessica, but they called her Jessie. They were in Arizona because his sister had a tumor and they needed to have the best care for her. And they were moving up there to treat it and be with her. And Jonathan only had a year left in school, his senior year, and he didn't want to move when he only had a year left in high school. You know, he wanted to graduate with his friends and the kids he grew up with and all of that. So Sandra and Fred asked Sandra's mom, hey, can you take him for a year, let him finish out high school? And they truly, truly thought Jonathan would be safe with their parents. I mean, who wouldn't? Jonathan's parents didn't think that about their own parents. They felt that he was in a safe place. But unfortunately, that would not be the case. Jonathan was betrayed as bright, funny, kind, and caring by his many friends and former classmates. One kid, Ryan, said that some of his funniest memories at high school was with Jonathan. They said he was a good kid, a life of the party. And unfortunately, Jonathan was going through a lot. He was going through his sister, his brain tumor. His parents were getting a divorce. And that really does affect children. And affects children in different types of ways. And Jonathan, how he dealt with it was smoking pot. It was just a coping mechanism. He did have some reruns with the law. You know, he was caught smoking pot, caught with weed in his car, things like that. But in my opinion, that is nothing compared to what other kids get into. This is like a little tiny misdemeanor to me. It's like the lesser of all the drugs you could do. And I know they say, oh, pot's a gateway, other drugs and stuff. Jonathan was going through a lot, and he just needed something to take the edge off. And I don't see anything wrong with that. But his grandmother disagreed, and you will find out the disturbing thing that she did because she felt that she didn't have control of her 17-year-old grandson. And that's why I said this case blows my mind. He was not thinking rationally. And that's my opinion. Allegedly. You gotta throw that allegedly in there so I don't get in trouble for some things I say. But you will see that she just went way too far. Way too far over little things. Something else could have been done than what she did. They say that when Hoffman moved in with his grandparents, almost from the start, there were heated fights between the teen and his grandmother. The first police encounter with Jonathan was Saturday, March 17th. According to police reports, Farmington Hills police ticketed Jonathan after finding pot and drug paraphernalia in his car while he was driving. He was placed on probation. Then on March 21st, on Wednesday evening, a neighbor of Lane's called police after hearing a heated argument inside the condo. Lane begged the police to leave. Officers considered taking the teen away because of his erratic behavior. His grandmother apparently convinced investigators she had it under control. Then on April 16th, a month later, there was another murder in the area that I guess the grandmother heard about. It was the murder of Robert Cipriano. His son Tucker Cipriano is accused of beating his father, mother, and brother. Investigators say that Tucker, a troubled teen, also enrolled in an alternative school program, was on drugs. And Jonathan's grandmother, Lane, was convinced Jonathan could snap like Tucker. They began arguing about drugs and his behavior, and on Friday, the 27th, Lane made her way to the Target Sports, and she paid $700 cash for a .40 caliber Glock 17. She told the news she was in fear of attack by her grandson and she wanted protection. If you are so scared of your grandchild, you buy a gun, maybe you should send his ass to Arizona with his parents and tell them you cannot do it anymore. You can't do it no more. You need to come get your child. Point blank. If you are scared of someone that you buy a gun and they live in the house with you, they need to get the hell out of your house. You need to change that situation completely. I don't understand how she thought that was okay. On Friday, May 18th, Jonathan had a history of drug use and had tested positive for a so-called synthetic marijuana, probably K2. On the day of the shooting, Lane claimed her grandson feared flunking probation and demanded money and the car to leave the area. He shot him out of fear through a physical altercation. This time, Hoffman was rushed to the hospital. He was shot 8 times. And unfortunately, these gunshot wounds would kill him. A 17-year-old. A 17-year-old just being a damn teenager. A 17-year-old getting into the normal amount of trouble that some teenagers do. She took it too far. Way too far. Lane was arrested shortly after. Inside the home, police found several bullet holes and blood on the floor. The news was told marijuana and a scale were removed from Jonathan's bedroom. On Monday, May 21st, Lane appeared in court. She was charged with open murder. She appeared weak and confused. Her 86-year-old husband was in the courtroom. He began sobbing as he walked outside. I want to say that Lane was 75 when she was charged with murder. 70-year-old shooting her grandchild that she was supposed to love, that supposedly she said she did love, over a little marijuana. The whole thing was that night, supposedly they got in a heated argument. He wanted things to get away because he was scared of messing up his probation and blah, blah, blah. He was wanting to run away, I guess. And supposedly she said that he kicked her a couple times in the chest and stuff. But when she was checked out by a medical professional, they said she had no injuries at all. So I don't really believe that. I don't believe that. Now, when kids or anyone really, because I used to be a correctional officer and I've seen people on K2, especially bad K2, synthetic marijuana, will mess you up. You become belligerent. You become crazy. You're out of your mind. And maybe he did have some erratic behavior that wasn't seen by anyone else. And that's why she was afraid of him. But the thing is that she should have sent him back to his parents and he would have never died. This would have never happened. And it's so crazy to me that it was like within a couple months that this happened. On Tuesday morning, family and friends gathered to say goodbye to Jonathan. His parents returned from Arizona. They were devastated to hear the news. The news learned that Lane's daughter, Jonathan's mother, knew there were problems back in Michigan. However, Jonathan refused to move. He's 17 years old. He does not get the say-so of moving. Take him out of your house. Change the locks. Say you don't want to be a good, respectable young man in my house. You will be kicked out. Either you're going to be out on the streets, or you can move back with your mother and father, or go live with a friend. Solved. Now, I know there's issues where it's harder to be done than said. I understand that. And it's all my opinion. I told you on this channel, I was going to be cutthroat. I was going to tell you how I feel. And if you don't like how I feel, then go listen to someone else. I want to put my input, and a lot of people will agree with what I'm saying. His father said his son wasn't a problem child. Lane will be back in court soon, where the debate will begin. Was this self-defense or cold-blooded murder? Lane was convicted on Tuesday of second-degree murder in his death. The jury deliberated over parts of 2 days in the case of Sandra Lane, 75, who had been charged with open murder in May 18th death of Jonathan Hoffman, 17. Prosecutors said Lane stalked her grandson inside the West Bloomfield, Michigan condo where they both lived, shooting him 10 times in 6 minutes, and she hit him 6 times, intent on killing him. This is where I want to put the 911 call in.
911, what's your emergency? Well, I've just been shot.
What? Who?
I've just been shot.
Where are you at? Okay, how did you get shot? Who shot you?
My grandma shot me.
Your grandma and grandpa shot you?
My grandma. I'm gonna die. So.
Okay, we're gonna stay on the phone with me, okay, sir? I'm gonna get help on the way. Okay? Where were you shot at? Where are you shot? Your chest? Okay, who, are your grandparents still there?
No.
Where did they go?
I don't know.
You don't know where they went? They shot you though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, stay on the phone, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I know we got help on the way. I promise you that, okay? You said it's in your chest?
Yes.
Okay, did you get some kind of, can you walk or are you sitting?
I'm sitting.
Okay, I don't want you to move. Okay, just keep on breathing. Okay, and it just happened?
Well,
Can you keep talking? Can you keep talking?
where's the guy?
Are you there, sir? 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 Hello? Sir?
Did you just call from a neighbor? Someone must be with them, so he's not talking to me right now. No, I heard someone, but I don't know if it was him or not.
Mm-hmm. Sir?
Where's the phone right now? Hello?
Are you there?
I got shot again. Oh,
You got shot again. Are they still there?
I'm putting it down. Something came over. Oh, yes. Please help. Oh, come on.
I just informed them. Sir? Hello? Hello?
Now, in the 911 call, you could hear that she shot him and hit him. And he was on the phone telling the 911 dispatcher, please help me. I am dying. And then even on the phone call, you could hear gunfire. And he said, she shot me again. So he was trying to run away and she was chasing after him, shooting him. As the verdict was read, Lane mouthed, oh my God, to her lawyer and began to cry. Outside of the courtroom, Jonathan's mother said her mother is a monster who deserved to go to prison. I'm glad she's put away and can't do harm to anyone else. He was a great kid and didn't deserve this. She knows her son is in heaven, place her mother will never get to. On Monday, the suburban Detroit jury had asked to hear again a recording of the teen's desperate call to 911 and even more shots while he was on the line. And this is what some of it said. My grandma shot me. I'm going to die. Help. I got shot again. Jonathan Hoffman told a dispatcher as he gasped for air. Jurors declined to comment following the verdict. They told the prosecutor and Lane's lawyers during a private meeting that 911 call was critical to their decision, according to the prosecutor. They said they played it over and over and over again in the jury room. One of the big things they said is when you hear the shots on the call, there's no struggle. Lane had said she had bought a gun the previous months because she was afraid of her grandson's outburst. She killed a child she was trying to protect and tried to save. Her lawyer, Jamone Sabata, said during closing arguments, don't compound the tragedy. The jury chose a conviction of second-degree murder, an intent to kill or do great bodily harm, but decided the crime was not premeditated. A first-degree murder charge. Michigan does not have a death penalty. Lane is expected to receive the minimum sentence of 14 years in prison, prosecutors said, but she could face as much as life term. A 14-year term is akin to a life sentence for Lane because of her age. The verdict came after a 2-week trial that brought up as many questions as it answered. Lane had no history of violence when she shot Hoffman. Other verdicts that jurors were considering included voluntary and involuntary manslaughter, a felony firearm charge, and acquittal. They also convicted Lane of using a firearm during a felony, and she will be sentenced at a later date. Prosecutors painted Lane as a calculating and controlling woman, angry that her grandson was failing high school and fed up with his drug use and belligerent attitude. But her lawyer portrayed her as a loving grandmother who was growing ever more fearful of a teen out of control. You're the adult. You could have called the police, not go shoot your damn grandchild. You could have had DCF come and take him to his mother and made his mother come and pick him up. You could have got the courts involved. You don't have to take an innocent life just because he was going down the wrong road. Prosecutor told jurors that Lane never rushed out of her West Bloomfield home despite claiming to be afraid of her grandson and never called for an ambulance to help him. She told police that she shot him after Hoffman kicked her in the chest during a heated argument in which he wanted money to flee Michigan because of a failed drug test. But the prosecutor pointed out that Lane never complained to police about being attacked. The hospital nurse who examined her after her arrest said Lane had no injuries and spoke lovingly about Jonathan. Lane's husband, Fred Lane, 87, attended the trial and began crying as he left the courtroom. His wife is a former teacher, mother of 5 and grandmother of 9, including Jonathan Hoffman and his younger sister Jessica. Jonathan's father said he was thrilled with the verdict and said it restored his son's reputation. It's been tarnished in a cruel way. He said his son and Sandra Lane were close. The woman made little buddy potato and brisket for Jonathan Hoffman, her favorite grandchild. But Jonathan's dad also called her meddlesome and controlling. He said he believed Sandra Lane killed her grandson in one last attempt to control him. She was always a thorn in my side, he said. I never liked her. Lane said, I wanted him to pay attention to me. He had to listen. It wasn't a conversation. It was arguing, swearing, and she said that's why she took the gun out. Really? For an argument? Lane repeatedly blamed the parents of Jonathan for not taking him back to Arizona and said her grandson's drug use made him unmanageable for an elderly woman. Prosecutors said the 911 call was extremely the most powerful evidence in the trial. He said it clearly shows a young man, 17 years old, who is dying, begging for help, and he is describing second by second what's happening to him. Hoffman's parents, while acknowledged their son's trouble with drugs, said the defense unfairly portrayed the teen as dangerous. It's final vindication for my son to restore his good name and reputation, because over the course of the last 9 months, it's been tarnished in a very cruel manner. He was a great kid. He was a wonderful person, a very spiritual, creative person, said Jonathan's father. Now, Lane tried to appeal this. He said her rights were violated when a judge barred her from introducing certain comments made by Jonathan Hoffman. Lane claims the words were threatening and would have helped her claim of self-defense. Not words, no. But the appeals court rejected that argument, and then in 2013, she was sentenced to 22 years in prison. That was what she was sentenced to. Not 14, not life, but 22 years. But to her, it's life, because she'll end up passing away before then. Jonathan's parents did do a wrongful death suit seeking at least $1 million, has been filed against the 75-year-old Detroit area woman. The lawsuit was filed recently. The lawsuit, which accused Lane of assault and battery, wrongful death, false imprisonment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Lane's husband is accused of negligence, wrongful death, but, he wasn't at all charged with this case at all. Jonathan's father said that Lane put on her war paint and came in gunning for my boy. The teen's mother Lane's daughter, Jennifer, urged the judge to show no mercy, calling her mother a narcissist. She showed no mercy when she planned, stalked, and murdered my son in his bedroom. Sandra Lane is pure evil, and if given the opportunity, would surely kill again. She tormented him for the 12 minutes before he was finally killed. Jonathan's dad said his son was only in socks and athletic shorts when he was shot, showed amazing courage in his final moments of life. Without the 911 call, father said we would have had a very different result in the trial. Hundreds of friends and family packed a chapel for the funeral service of 17-year-old Jonathan Hoffman 3 difficult days after in their West Bloomfield condominium. Friends and classmates spoke late Tuesday morning in front of a filled chapel, not in the circumstances of Hoffman's death, which sent shockwaves through the community, but of a senior who was coming into his own while remaining one of a kind. He was unafraid of being himself, even if it meant he was different from everyone else. He wasn't just a computer geek, he was a cool computer geek. He found something to dream about. At the Temple of Israel to swap stories about Hoffman, interchangeably known as a road trip partner, video games teammate, and first best friend. It was said that Jonathan accepted a full ride scholarship to Eastern Michigan University after dealing with academic issues that Bennett said led to his transfer from North Farmington. I got to know him playing RuneScape in 9th grade. As much of a nerd as he was, it rubbed off on me a lot. It was always a great thing about him, how he could do so much with so little. Jonathan was a genius, like a little brother to me. No matter what you wanted to do, he was always down for it. Farmington Central canceled the classes to allow students to attend Hoffman's funeral. That was the end of this case. She was unhinged. Unhinged. There were so many other different ways that she could have handled that. Why would she think murder was the best thing? If she felt scared, she could have called the police. She could have ran out the house. She could have got her husband. Why would she think that just even a taser would have been better? Not a damn firearm. Let me just shoot my grandchild to death because he's arguing with me. That just blows my mind, y'all. I'm sorry I'm getting super heated. I feel really bad for this family that they lost such a loving and smart kid. He had a lot of life to live, and she just took it away from him. And the parents were already going through enough. They're going through divorce. Their other kid had a brain tumor, and they were trying to get through that together. And then their mom kills their other kid. That just, what do y'all think about this case? Tell me down below, please. I would like to hear your thoughts. Do you feel that she was way out of control? I will be back in a couple weeks. I want to do the case about the serial killer. They're not saying it's a serial killer, but it's a serial killer. I don't care what people say. Allegedly a serial killer. And I think it's in Austin, Texas, where a lot of men have been popping up dead. I mean, it's already been like more than 7. And they haven't caught the guy yet. So I really want to go ahead and try to do a deep dive on it, what we have now about the victims, to celebrate the life they once had and to get the awareness out there that this is happening and you need to be careful. I'm very sorry to Jonathan's family. Please send out love and prayers to them. I love y'all so much. I will see y'all in a couple of weeks. Please, please be careful out there. There are some crazy people out there in the world, people that will do whatever it is for very selfish reasons. Please like and subscribe. Until next time.
I think he was drugged. I think he was overserved. I think he was lured over there.
Jealousy such a strange enemy, I know. It's all in my head.
At this point, police don't suspect foul play in any of these cases and have repeatedly said they're not connected.
Just a quick warning, this video will contain explicit content. The video will tell some gruesome details about murder victims and crimes committed by a very disturbed individual. This is not a topic that can be treaded lightly, and as such, viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, lovelies. It is Monica here back with another true crime. I actually have a very good friend and partner to a sister channel as Raven Investigate joining me today on this video as the Raven Dreams. You should really go check him out. He is an amazing narrator. Please go check out all of his channels. You can find him at As the Raven Dreams and Raven Investigates with me. I have completely changed the channel. Eventually, I want to start doing face-to-face videos. But tell me what you think in the comments down below. Would you like me to start doing face-to-face videos instead of just audio? My name is Monica. Nice to meet you. I usually have gone by Lady Curious, but like I said, I'm rebranding the channel. I hope y'all enjoy this video. It is kind of like the conspiracies and odd things going on surrounding the Austin, Texas Ripper or allegedly serial killer. In my opinion, even before I start this video, I will let you know what that is that I really do think something weird is going on down there. I don't think it's just people falling into the lake drowning. And I also will tell you some of my theories I have, something to think about at the end of the video. But I wanted to go through the best information I could find about the men who have drowned in this lake from 2008 up to date. It's just, I don't know if the lake is cursed or if there is just someone out there drugging men and drowning them. I don't know. It's so weird, and you will see how weird it is the more we talk about it. I will give a little bit information about the lake and the history, and then we will talk about each person that was found so far in the lake. Also, there is a shoal creek really close to the lake. It's kind of like off of the lake that some men have been found in. And to me, that is like the grounds of the same area that this stuff has been happening on. It just really gives me the creeps. Remember, everyone, this video is for educational and documentary purposes only. And everything that I say in this video is alleged, because this supposedly is not an ongoing investigation anymore, because the police department, we'll talk about the police department too, is supposedly just closing out the cases and saying, oh, it was an accident, and that's it. There's no really any ongoing investigations. But if there is someone doing this, I want to say it is alleged. This is just to protect myself and my collaborator. Keep that in mind. And I have tried my best to go through all the information online. There is so many theories and weird stuff that's been put out there that's not true, and just the opinion of other people. And it's very hard to kind of get through the facts and opinions. And I try my best. I just want to let y'all know that it's not going to be as in depth, because there's some people couldn't even find a photo online of. Some victims I could not even find a photo, y'all. I am so sorry about that. It's very odd to me, because this has happened so recently in the years that usually there's pictures and videos online everywhere of random people, and usually you can find people when you Google them, especially when they have a mysterious death like this. I will stop ranting and get into the video. This has been going on in Austin, Texas. Since 2008, there have been many bodies pulled from Ladybird Lake and Shoal Creek in that area. This number has led people to question if all these deaths are really accidental or if there is something more going on. Locals are convinced there is a roofie killer spiking men's drinks with drugs like GHB, known as roofies, before murdering them. Fears a serial killer is on the loose in Texas have soared after the fifth dead body this year, 2023, was pulled out of the lake in Austin. The area of concern is around Rainy Street, leading some to dub that a Rainy Street Ripper is roaming the streets at night. But the APD downplayed fears of a murderous villain back in April of 2023 when it poured cold water on serial killer claims made by residents. It said in a statement, there is no evidence in any of these cases to suspect foul play. While each incident has occurred at the lake, the circumstances, exact locations, and demographics surrounding these cases vary, but they do not. I'm letting y'all know. I have made a map, and I'm going to show you that map somewhere in this video that shows that there have been bodies found in the exact same area more than once. How does that happen? That's not a coincidence. But that has not done enough to calm the nerves of a string of locals who are convinced there is a roofie killer spiking men's drinks with drugs and murdering them. Up to 8 people have been found at Ladybird Lake over the last 10 months following nights out on Rainy Street. Most of these have been men in their 30s, leading some to believe a suspicious pattern is emerging. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And there's some other patterns that I have noticed emerging as well. And it has not slowed down, y'all. We will start with some background into the lake. It is known as Lady Bird Lake. Many people refer it to as Town Lake. There are some comments that said it is actually a river and not a lake, but the internet says that it's like a river reservoir. The Lake River is on the Colorado River in Austin, Texas. The surface area is 416 acres. That is huge, y'all. It is now used for recreation and flood control. Supposedly, there's no motorized watercrafts and boats and stuff on the lake. You're only allowed to paddleboard or kayak or canoe. The lake is said to be calm and is popular for many rowing teams to use. There are also comments that said the lake is quite polluted, and that is why swimming is not allowed. But supposedly, apparently, this is a rumor. But I don't know, because swimming was prohibited due to many drownings as well as debris in the water from bridges and dams. Swimming was banned in the river since 1964. And if you do go swimming, you can be fined up to $500. In 2019, the blue toxic green algae was found in the lake, and up to 5 dogs were killed because of it. So this is like a cesspool. The ban on the consumption of fish caught in the lake was issued by the city of Austin in 1990 as a result of high levels of chlordane found in the fish. The use of chlordane as a pesticide was banned in the United States in 1988, and the chemicals stick strongly to soil particles and continue to pollute groundwater for years after its application. The ban of the consumption of fish caught in the lake was finally lifted in 1999. We will now go through all the men who were found to date in the lake. Now, I went back to 2008. First suspicious death that was found in the lake was Rihad Ahmed. He was a school teacher. As the Raven Dreams will read more about him, I do want to put in my thoughts about this man. They supposedly said that it was a suicide, y'all. Like, what the fuck? Who duct tapes their arms and legs together and mouth and throws themselves into a fucking lake?
Riyad Hamad. Riyad was a school teacher and peace activist who was reported missing by his family on Monday, April 14th, 2008. His car was found in a lot on the south side of Ladybird Lake. On Wednesday, April 16th, 2008, Riyad's body was found floating in the lake. His eyes had been covered with duct tape, his legs and hands had also been found bound with duct tape. According to Austin Police Department Sergeant Joe Chacon, the death of Austin's school teacher and peace activist Riyad Ahmad remains under investigation. Chacon says homicide investigators are open to all possibilities, but that the initial investigation reflects that Hamad appears to have committed suicide. Hamad had been reported missing by his family on Monday night, April 14th, and partly by means of cell phone GPS search authorized by his wife, his car was found Tuesday afternoon in a parking lot off South Lakeshore Boulevard, on the south side of Lady Bird Lake. A land and water search turned up nothing more, but a little after 2 p.m. on Wednesday, passerby on the hike and bike trail on the opposite north side of the lake, just east of the I-35 bridge, spotted a body floating near the shore. Hamad's eyes were covered in duct tape. His legs and hands were also bound, fueling internet-amplified rumors that he had been murdered. According to a report that day by KXAN TV News, parkgoers who saw the body said the death did not look accidental. They said the man's face was wrapped with duct tape, and his arms appeared to be tied in front of his body. On Thursday, April 17th, APD released a statement saying that the binding of his hands and legs and placement of the tape were consistent with Hamad having done this to himself. Chacon told the Chronicle that additional evidence, including a security videotape of the parking area where Hamad's car was found, and statements from persons who knew him, that he had been experiencing suicidal thoughts, also support a finding of suicide, but that police are waiting for completion of the entire investigation, including the full autopsy and toxicology report, which will take several weeks. For all intents and purposes, as far as we know right now, Chacon said this week, this was a suicide. An autopsy was performed by Travis County Chief Medical Examiner David Dolinak, generating yet another controversy over official autopsy procedures. On April 17th, when Hamad's body was transported by a funeral home from the medical examiner's office to the Islamic Center of Greater Austin on Manor Road, said Imam Ibrahim Jamali, it was in a barbaric condition, one that he had never seen in 20 years of preparing bodies for burial. Jamali said the body was seeping blood from one incision and was inadequately sutured, and in spots the flesh was torn as though an animal might have attacked him. He said two experienced colleagues working with him panicked at the sight of the corpse and left the room, and he had to use towels and tape to clean Hamad's body and to pad the brain cavity and the torso, in order to make it presentable for burial. He demanded and received a meeting with Dolinak and APD Chief Art Acevedo. Afterward, Jamali and Dolinak each told the Chronicle that they believed the meeting was useful and should lead to better medical examiner practices, but Jamali said that he cannot accept the apology offered by Dolinak for any misunderstanding or mistakes. Quote, I believe they were sending us a message, he said, and that's what I told the people here at the mosque, that they believe they do not have to respect the body of Muslims. Asked about Jamali's charges, Dolinak said that, although there may have been some misunderstanding over his office's expectations that the funeral home would be doing the final cosmetic preparations of the body, he insisted, we did absolutely nothing on our part to show any intentional disrespect. He said they followed standard autopsy procedures and that he simply can't say what Jamali may have experienced in similar situations before. In most cases, all of the final preparations of the body occur at a funeral home, he said. But as in any religion, there is a whole spectrum of practices, depending on the family's wishes. We will certainly try to work with local Muslim clerics better on the next case. Dolinak also could not confirm what Jamali described as apparent facial bruising on the body. Hamad, who was originally from Lebanon but had also lived in Austin for more than 30 years, taught business education and keyboarding at small middle school, was a graduate student at UT, already with several degrees, and was very active in Austin-based charity work aimed at easing living conditions in the occupied territories of Palestine, most specifically via the Palestine Children's Welfare Fund, through which he sold Palestinian crafts to raise funds for destitute Palestinian families. He was also very outspoken about international politics, objecting strongly to Israeli and U.S. policy in the Middle East. Partly, as a consequence, he had been investigated by federal authorities, who asked questions of some of his neighbors, and, in February, the FBI and IRS raided his South Austin home, and seized 40 boxes of material related to his charity work, reportedly pursuant to an investigation of alleged wire fraud, bank fraud, and money laundering. Although no charges had been brought, the raid greatly disrupted Hamad's charity work. Because of this background and circumstances of his death, there was immediate but unsubstantiated internet speculation that Hamad had been assassinated, perhaps by US or Israeli authorities. Imam Jamali also rejected outright the tentative APD finding of suicide. Quote, "I don't believe it. Islam expressly forbids it, and this man had 2 wonderful children and everything to live for." Beyond this general suspicion, Jamali declined to speculate who might have murdered Hamad. In an April 22nd radio interview with Austin conspiracy monger Alex Jones, Jamali declined to join in Jones' ghoulish fantasies of Hamad's possible torture, beating, gunshot, or stab wounds, and instead confined himself only to describe the visible condition of Hamad's body. No federal indictment had been issued against Hamad, but according to Sergeant Greg Moss, APD missing persons investigator, Hamad's wife mentioned the FBI investigation as having placed great emotional stress on him, and as a reason for being particularly concerned when he went missing, that he might be tempted to do harm to himself. Apparently, the last phone call Hamad made from his cell phone on the night of April 14th was to his Palestine Children's Welfare Fund colleague, Paul LaRudy, in California. According to LaRudy, Hamad somewhat oddly revisited matters he'd already addressed by email. He also seemed anxious to get off the phone, said LaRudy, but that was typical for Hamad. In a letter posted online, LaRudy said that he told Hamad of recent large donation. After the FBI raid, LaRudy had taken on a larger role in administering the charity, and Hamad had carefully handed over all administrative details in the last few weeks. Hamad responded with only, "Well, that's nice, gotta go." LaRudy subsequently told a Houston indie media radio interviewer that whatever the police investigation eventually concludes, quote, "I don't believe it will put an end to the speculation." LaRudy believes Hamad deliberately decided to throw suspicion on his perceived enemies. He added that whatever actually happened to Hamad, that he refused to allow the government to take away control of his life. "I don't agree with his decision because he could have done a lot more, but I still think he was a hero." End quote.
The police, it is the audacity. And this is my opinion. Do not sue me, police station. But this is my opinion. And I'm allowed to say it. And it doesn't mean it's true. It's just what I feel and think after reading all this. The police department really screwed up. They have really, really dropped the ball on this. And it is heartbreaking. I don't know if, since they know there's an active serial killer, that they're just saying this to the public to keep investigating. That's why I said that they say there's no open investigations, allegedly. There might be. So I have to protect myself in the things that I say. But if there isn't, they really fucked up, because even me, just a regular civilian, can see there are so many patterns that this cannot be a coincidence. This cannot be, oh, yeah, there was such a jump and spike in deaths in the lake in 2021, 2023. It's happening. It's just happening. Yeah, it's normal. No, it's not normal. It's not. And you will see what I mean. When we go through all these men in the days they passed away, you will know what I'm talking about. That it cannot just be a coincidence. Now, where all these men are found near the lake, there is a historic district, and there's also a lot of bars. And a lot of these men go missing when supposedly they were with friends and they got really drunk, and then they would just disappear, and then they're found in a lake later. That's just weird. To me, I feel like someone is luring them out to the lake and using something to drug them. But if not, they're so drunk, maybe they're out there having a good time and then someone's just drowning them. And it's 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and people wouldn't be out there anyways because it's so late, and then people know you're not allowed to swim in the lake. So why would people be out there having fun and stuff? So they know it's a great area where there won't be people, and then they could drown people and no one would hear it. To me, it's really scary. The next person that passed away that is like in stone that we know of is Cole Christensen. It was October 13th, 2012. Now, that is a jump from 2008 to 2012. But the thing is that Cole was from Alaska. He was down visiting, and he was found in Shoal Creek, the little creek that runs off of Lady Burke Lake. He passed away October 13th, 2012, and he was on vacation. More about Christian is he spent countless nights tearing apart jet skis, motorcycles, and any other toys he thought he could customize. Cole truly lived life to the fullest. There was nothing that could stop him from doing something he loved. Cole was the definition of a daredevil. Cole loved his family and friends more than anything else. He surrounded himself with amazing people who had the same values as he did. Cole spent much of his time with his family and friends at his cabin on Big Lake. Big Lake was his favorite place to be. He loved sitting by the campfire, wakeboarding, jet skiing, and anything that he had to do with water. Austin Police Department spokesman Jennifer said Christian's death had been ruled not suspicious, and the department will not conduct any further investigation. Sarah Scott, Chief Administration Officer for the Travis County Medical Examiner's Office, said Christensen's cause of death is still unknown. Her office is awaiting the results of toxicology testing on his body, which could take 6 to 8 weeks. His body was found at 11:10 that morning by a Austin Music Hall employee. Scott said Christensen was laying in Shoal Creek behind Austin Music Hall located. Christian was a former student of the University of Alaska, Anchorage. One of Christensen's friends said that Christian was a big hockey fan and was funny, popular, and kind. He made a lot of people laugh, and he had a really big smile. He treated everybody really well and was really kind to everybody that he knew. So, supposedly Christian's death is undetermined to this day. The next man that we will talk about is Eron David Rublik. He was actually found floating in Lady Burke Lake October 13th, 2014, so this is 2 years later. Do you see what I'm getting at? 2008, 2012, 2014. It like ramps up. Supposedly, he went missing on Thursday, October 9th. He had been out with friends in Austin and called an Uber to get him home from Rainy Street. The driver dropped him instead off near a Holiday Inn on Interstate 35 at around 2:30 a.m. on Friday, October 10th. Weird. Police stated that they believed he was walking close to the water and somehow fell in. Police eventually determined that Aaron's cause of 2 fishermen discovered his body floating in the water. On Saturday, several people spotted the body floating in the water. Police do not suspect foul play, but they're looking for people who were with him Thursday night or any witness who may have seen him early Friday morning. Police are also waiting for toxicology reports. Police have not released any details regarding the circumstances that led to his drowning, but said that they have no evidence of trauma when he was pulled from the lake. Well, exactly. If someone says, hey, let's go in the lake, or hey, or Double Dog dares him to get in the lake, or and then goes out there and drowns him, yeah, there would be no trauma to his body. Or if he was drugged and pulled into the lake, there would be no trauma to his body. It really, really upsets me. The next person is Julio Santos III. He was only 22 years old. He died June 7th, 2015, and that's a year later. You see how it's progressing more and more and more. As the Raven Dreams, we'll be reading this one about him, and you'll get to know more about his death.
Julio Santos III, 22, was found in Lady Bird Lake on June 7th, 2015. Julio was last seen at a dance club called Barbarella on Friday, June 5th at around 2:30 a.m. The following information is from the police press release. Santos was reported as a missing person on Friday, June 5th, 2015 at 5:58 p.m. and was last seen at East 6th Street and Red River Street at approximately 2:30 a.m. on Friday, June 5th, 2015. The medical examiner's office reported no suspicious trauma to the body. Austin police are continuing to investigate this death as not suspicious. His life was cut short. While his death certificate says drowning, Raymond doesn't agree. I think he was drugged. I think he was overserved. I think he was lured over there, she said. She says any sight of the lake can be triggering. I picture him being scared and not knowing what to do, and being hurt. And I just imagine the worst, she said. That's what we always call it. It's not Lady Bird, it's not Town Lake. It's the Death River. At an Austin City Council meeting on April 13th, family members of the others who disappeared or were found dead in the lake called for more safety measures. I think they're connected. They're too much the same to be a coincidence, Raymond said. The city says at this point there's no evidence of foul play in any of the cases. It's like APD is reading from a script, and it's the exact same things. And if they were different, why would they be saying the exact same things? So yes, I think they're all connected, Raymond said. And City Council passed a resolution that calls on the city manager to come up with a safety plan, including exploring the capacity to have park rangers patrol and EMS stationed on the trailhead. The city manager is also tasked with looking into halo cameras for the area and working with bars to prevent over-serving of alcohol. Raymond says that she wants to see clear action, not just talk. If they are adopting resolutions to pacify, that's not enough. If they're going to adopt a resolution and take 10 years to do it, that is not enough. So far, all we've received are empty promises, she said. We should be able to have fun and not worry about our loved ones being found in the river and being told, oh, they just drink too much. There are already temporary lights and fencing up, and the city says the permanent infrastructure plan is in the works. Raymond says that she hopes the momentum keeps going. This seems to be bigger. There's a lot more attention, she said. I hope that it won't fizzle out again. I hope it doesn't. In Austin, Texas, Julio Santos went missing in June of 2015, and as stated was last seen on East 6th and Red River Street. Only 5 days later, his body was found in Lady Bird Lake. For the first time, his sister was speaking out and says that she's been in contact with other families who have had similar events happening to their loved ones. It's an open wound, and when it happens to other young men, it opens that wound up even more. And it's starting all over again, Santos's older sister, Melanie Raymond, said. Raymond is the oldest of the 3 siblings. He had his whole life ahead of him. He had just graduated from North Texas State University, and he was on his way to Seattle to start his life. And that was cut short, Raymond says. She says that she's always had a gut feeling that the circumstances surrounding her 22-year-old brother's death were off. She says the toxicology report only showed alcohol in his system, but of all things, his belt was missing. Everything else was intact. I don't think it was an accident. I don't think he slipped. I think he was meeting someone, she says. After hearing what happened to Martin Gutierrez and Christian Pugh, the similarities were more apparent to Raymond. Honestly, I think they're being drugged. I think it's something toxicology isn't looking for on a basic panel. I think they're lured somewhere, and I think that's when they go missing and they're subsequently found, Raymond said. Julio was amazing, and loved by so many people. So many people reached out when he went missing, and he touched a lot of people's lives. We want to know what's happening, Raymond said. She also mentioned that APD closed Santos's case and ruled his death was accidental years ago.
On November 29th, 2015, Santiago Gonzalez Becerra, who was 23, was pulled from the lake. He had been missing for a few days. Medical examiners reported no suspicious trauma to the body. The cause of death has not yet been determined. He was found floating in Lady Bird Lake on Sunday. And he was a University of Texas student. The loss of Santiago is devastating to our entire university. We express our deepest sympathies to his family and friends. Santiago was a graduate business student in the accounting professional program, was reported missing by his sister on Thursday. He was found dead Sunday in the lake near 2800 block of Stratford Lane. Cause of manner of death is still undetermined pending a toxicology report, according to the medical examiner's office. Person traveling by canoe found Santiago's body floating. Police are investigating the man's death but said it did not appear suspicious. His sister reported him missing on November 26th, Thanksgiving, to the University of Texas Police Department. So this man was only 23. He was going to the University of Texas and he went missing on Thanksgiving and he wasn't found 3 days later in the lake. Just, that's crazy to me. Y'all, that's so crazy to me that it's like, poof, they just go missing. And then boom, they're found in the lake. And like the police said, not suspicious, no trauma to his body. I'm being very sarcastic right now because this really pisses me off of the injustice these men are getting, the injustice of it all. Supposedly, there was another man found, but his information was not released on December 28th, 2016, and he was found in the exact same location as Iran was last seen. And then on June 14th, 2018, a man was pulled from the lake. A passerby spotted the clothed body laying face down in the water. His information is not released. On August 15th, 2018, another man in his 40s was pulled from the water. And like always before everyone else, they said that the APD said there was no evidence for the scene and did not indicate that the death was suspicious or homicidal in nature. The next person we're going to talk about is Christopher White. He was pulled out of the lake on October 11th, 2018. Christopher was actually from Minnesota and had been visiting Austin to attend Austin City Limits Music Festival with friends. The group attended the music festival on Friday and returned to their rental home near the Colorado River Friday night. Friends reported they last saw Chris between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. Saturday morning, and that he mentioned he might want to go down to the dock, but none of them actually saw him leave the home. He was reportedly intoxicated. Friends realized Christopher was missing when they woke up Saturday morning and reporting him missing later that day. He had left his shoes, phone, and wallet behind. When Chris was found, authorities said that there was no evidence of foul play. Chris's cause of death was eventually determined to be accidental drowning. Toxicology testing on Chris's blood showed traces of ethanol, cocaine, and MDMA. So, MDMA is usually known as the date rape drug. Well, that's so weird. Why would he just leave his house without his shoes and his wallet and all that? That is so weird to me. And he was only 25. All these men so far range from the early 20s to 40s. And less 40, but more around 23 to 35. On December 7th, a man named Randy Lexfold was found in Shoal Creek, likely drowned by blunt force injuries, likely from falling from a bridge into the water, contributed to his death, according to an autopsy report released this week. Randy was only 48 years old, and supposedly his death is still undetermined. Get this, he was visiting his daughter in California. From California at the time, because she had a USA Junior National Swimming Competition, which was being held at the University of Texas. So he was there to watch his daughter, and he just happened to be at the same creek and fell off the bridge and had blunt force trauma from falling off a bridge. Get out of here. Investigators could not determine how Randy ended up in the water, but they do believe he fell off the 6th Street Bridge. It's unclear whether he simply fell, was pushed, was hit by a car, knocked over, or whether he jumped. Thus, the manner of death is undetermined. Austin police have said foul play is not suspected. They just keep saying that, don't they? They don't believe that his death was involved in a robbery because he was found with his valuables on him. Someone saw Randy's body partially submerged around 8:30 a.m. on December 7th and alerted the police. So, supposedly his body had excessive blunt force trauma consistent with the fall. He had several broken bones and his head, torso, arms, and legs, particularly on his right side of his body. And he was covered in scrapes and bruises. His lungs were filled with fluid, which led the pathologist who conducted the autopsy to determine that he drowned. For Lori Faber, Randy's sister, the recent deaths brought flashbacks of the horrifying time when she learned her brother's death and reminded her that her fight for justice is far from over. The sister has now criticized law enforcement, accusing them of not revealing the truth and telling the families in public that these water deaths are all accidents and that none of the victims had any trauma. See, it's not just me that thinks something's weird going on. We did not know Randy had gone missing until the morning of December 7th, 2018, when he did not respond to the text. At the time, we did not know he had been found dead in Shoal Creek because he had not yet been identified. He was found by the Shoal Creek Bridge on 6th Street. The Shoal Creek feeds into Ladybird Lake, which isn't far away. She got a call informing her of the death around 7 p.m. on the same day. One thing that APD did not do that was very upsetting to her is they did not contact my parents until 10 days after Randy's death. My family learned of his death from my brother's wife. I guess I was wrong to think that the police would contact the victim's parents right away to tell them what happened and possibly offer their condolences. Apparently, this detective thought it was not necessary to talk to Randy's parents to offer condolences or to ask them questions to find out more about him. The Travis County Medical Examiner listed the official cause of death as drowning. First report from APD on digital media was that the condition of his body was bad and they could not identify his age, race, or gender. Really? That sounds like he was beat up. We were also told by a detective that Randy had a head wound that was hemorrhaging when he went over the bridge, and the head wound most likely caused him to go unconscious before he fell into the creek and drowned. Hello? That contradicts everything. The wound in his head turned out being a deep puncture wound that, according to the autopsy report, caused blood around one of the membranes of the brain. So my question is, how did he get the deep puncture wound that hemorrhaged and made him go unconscious before drowning? She added, he also had other very bad injuries that did not match up with the narrative that they were being told. He had a broken right collarbone, broken right thumb, broken ribs and both sides, and also front and back, and a badly broken femur. A fall would not cause his ribs to be broken on both sides and front and back. His ribs in front were broken so badly that the autopsy report stated them as being misshapen, which was also very noticeable with our family viewed the body. Also, what was the frothy substance in Randy's lungs? That is not something that is formed by air and water. Bridge is only 20 feet high, and there was some water from rainfall the night before. You can't understand how his ribs would be broken so badly. They would also be broken on one side, not both sides, and front and back. Also, his femur bone was broken so badly that when our family viewed the body, the leg was bent at an angle from rigor mortis. I found out it takes 1,000 pounds of force to break the femur bone, and I know a fall of 20 feet into some water does not produce enough force to do that. The detective had also told us that due to this trajectory of the body, Randy was not a victim of a hit and run. We also had another expert read the autopsy report, and it stated Randy's eyes was being translucent. The expert told me that this only happens when the eyes have been exposed to air after death, which could happen if he died face down in the water, like we were told. There were numerous areas in the report that couldn't be overlooked. First, the date next to the medical examiner's name had been wrong and was written over it to correct it. Not without first at all, which didn't seem very professional to me. Secondly, the wrong creek name was listed in the location of the incident, and it was later changed by an amendment to the report. The first creek name listed was Waller Creek. It is actually where a previous victim had been located. Thirdly, it named the wrong arm for Randy's only tattoo. With all of these mistakes so easily noticeable on the report, it really began to look like it had started out as a different victim's autopsy report, and the medical examiner just copied and pasted some other details onto it. It is my opinion, but it's partially based on facts. Is anyone policing the medical examiner's office to make sure they are recording true and accurate results? His sister questioned. His sister said Randy did not live in Texas and had flown into Austin on December 6th for a business meeting. He was also there to watch his daughter in a swim meet. Randy was a brilliant software engineer who did software development. He didn't have a main desk location for his work and would travel a lot in different locations as needed. And one of the businesses he worked for was Agile Craft based in Austin. Agile Craft was a software development company for artificial intelligence, homeland security, and other well-known high-end companies. So that meant Randy also had a high government security clearance. His sister said, I know Randy was supposed to meet a friend that evening before he disappeared, but the friend did not show up. Randy went to the rooftop on December 6th for dinner and a couple of drinks. Their listed hours show that they don't open until 9 p.m., and Randy left there before 10:30 p.m., according to his online credit card receipt. That was the last time he was seen anywhere, and he did not show up in any camera footage around the city or from any other establishments. He was found the next morning at 8:30 a.m. face down in Shoal Creek. Someone working at the nearby location saw him in the water from the window of their office. The Shoal Creek Bridge is almost a mile from where Randy was last seen. We later learned that he apparently had texted a friend around 1:30 a.m., but how do we know it was really him that did the texting? How do we know it wasn't someone else texting from Randy's phone? She added. On being asked what she believes may have really happened to Randy, he said, I believe he was targeted, drugged, kidnapped, and severely beaten, punctured above his eye near his brain for some unknown reason, and drowned before he was thrown over the bridge into the creek. The blood in his body was settled in the wrong place for someone who died with his face down. There was also a smiley face sticker on the bridge railing with a thick red line drawn on it above the right eye, exactly where the puncture wound was to my brother's head. His lungs had a frothy substance in it and were also hemorrhaging because his ribs were so badly broken. She also revealed that a GoFundMe memorial page was being made by someone 2 days before her brother's death, which proves that he was being targeted. Well, that's really creepy. I have been following and studying the details of many cases with very similar circumstances and all are young men who have found dead in the water. The thing is that the same thing is happening in many other cities too, and is not only just confined to Austin. They have suspended this case, and they are no longer investigating at this time. We tried showing you evidence that someone started a memorial page for my brother 2 days before his death, but you wouldn't even look at it. Where is a family member supposed to go, and what are we supposed to do when the police won't look at hard evidence? His sister has faith and determination. The only way to fight the bad is with good. So stick to the truth and keep fighting for it because we believe that together and with the help of God above, the truth shall show itself. She misses her brother every single day. We were only 13 months apart in age and we were inseparable as kids. We did everything together. We also looked very much alike. And people always thought we were twins, so that made us also want to dress alike sometimes. Adulthood took us to different parts of the country, but we always had a very special connection between us. After Randy died, I had a dream every night for a month. In my dream, Randy was in the water of the creek, and he told me to keep looking into this because they're trying to make this look like something that it's not. That has proven to be true. It is so hard to publicly talk about my brother's case because there are so many skeptics out there just waiting for a chance to criticize me. They think that if my brother was drugged, the medical examiner would have found the drug in his system. The autopsy reports show they don't test for those kind of drugs. They also think if there was foul play, APD would say so. And yet, that is not the case. They think the police would never tell the truth to the public, but that is exactly what is happening. And I have solid proof backing up what I am saying. That is Randy's sister, and I believe everything that she's saying, y'all. It is devastating that the police so far is turning a blind eye on what's happening in their city. I don't know if they're trying to cover someone's ass or what's going on, but something's going on. And they're not protecting the people. The next person, I know, I feel like I'm a broken record. The next person is Jake Waltrip. He was 28 when he passed away. They found him in the lake August 4th, 2019. He was found near Holiday Inn where Iran was found in 2016. The body was found by kayakers who towed the man to shore. Jake lived in Austin and Denton before moving to Orange County, California, for 2 years and working at Luma Prints. In 2018, he moved back to Texas and started computer coding Austin Coding Academy and received his full stack Java web development certification this year. After doing some contract work, he recently began working for Mathalicious, a website with real-world math lessons for middle and high school teachers to use in their classes. He was very excited about this job and was very optimistic for his future. Growing up, he enjoyed riding, driving the golf cart, and shooting targets out in the country at Grandma and Grandpa's, and shooting at the gun range with his dad, and at Uncle Paul's house with all the guys and some of the ladies. As he grew older, he became very philosophical and greatly enjoyed reading and watching and discussing podcasts about life and what is true and important. He also loved being outdoors and running, riding his bike around the lake, kayaking, and camping out in his tent, chilling in his hammock. He was young, so he just moved back to Texas, and then he was found dead randomly in the lake and near where other people have been found dead. That's not a coincidence, y'all. So the third person that was found in the exact same location. There's not too much info on this person, and it makes me very sad, but it was Eric Medrano. He was 26. He was found dead May 24th, 2021. And the only information I have about him is that the police said that it was a suspicious death, like all the effing rest of them. The next person was Rocal Rosar Lopez. He was last seen New Year's Day of 2022. In the very early morning in Austin, a friend made this post on Facebook. Help us find him. Y'all, my coworker has been missing since the evening of December 31st. Last known place was celebrating New Year's in downtown Austin. Family and our staff are worried about him. His cell phone is off. No credit cards have been used, and he has not been active on any social media. There is a missing person out on him with APD already. He wasn't pulled out of the lake until January 6th of 2022. There's really not much more information about his autopsy report or what the police thought or anything. I just think it's so weird that there's lack of information about all these people that have drowned in this lake. It's like they're trying to hide the info. The next person that we're going to talk about is Ricky Parks. He died on July 14th, 2022. He was found dead Thursday morning in Lady Bird Lake. Supposedly no foul play was involved and the investigation is closed. And that supposedly he was in the lake for about a couple of days. That's it. I want to say Ricky Parks is one of them that I can't even find a picture of him online. And this happened in 2022, y'all. Everyone leaves digital footprints these days. Everyone. And that just, boom, blows my mind. Like, I can't even wrap my head around it. The next person will be read by As the Raven Dreams. It was Martin Gutierrez. He passed away December 10th, 2022. Do you get what I'm saying? That it is progressing. 30% to like 100.
December 10th, 2022, Martin Gutierrez. An Austin man who was found dead November 26th in Lady Bird Lake, a week after he was reported missing, drowned, according to an autopsy report released Monday. The Travis County Medical Examiner listed the official cause of death for Martin Maurice Gutierrez, 25, as drowning, adding that his death was an accident. The autopsy doesn't shed any light on how Gutierrez might have ended up in the lake after he was last seen November 19th, leaving a Rainy Street bar. He'd gone out with friends on a Sunday night, and loved ones called police when they couldn't find him the next day. Austin police, Travis County Search and Rescue, and Gutierrez's family searched Rainy Street and the Ann and Roy Butler hike and bike trail for several days to no avail. Finally, 4 days after Thanksgiving, his body was found floating in the water, wearing the same clothing he had on when he was last seen, the autopsy report said. His toxicology results showed that he was likely intoxicated at the time of his death, the report said. Gutierrez worked as an assistant manager at One Main Financial. He was originally from Big Spring and had lived in Austin for 11 months. His older brother, Michael Gutierrez, told the American Statesman while he was still searching, quote, "If you knew him, he's just perfect. There's not a bad bone in his body. If I could take his place, I would." Martin's body was found in Lady Bird Lake, and Martin's brother made a statement at the time. "Martin was the brother I could go to for everything, and now he's gone. I'm lost with no idea what direction to go from here. My family, friends, and community have come together in a way I never believed was possible in an effort to help me find him. This world will always and forever be significantly less happy without Martin Gutierrez. Martin's cause of death was determined after autopsy to be accidental drowning. According to the toxicology reports, he was intoxicated when he died of accidental drowning, but no illicit or prescription drugs were found in his system. Austin police have confirmed they did not suspect foul play in Martin's death.
After him, as the Raven Dreams will also talk about Josu Moreno. He died on Christmas of 2022.
December 25th, 2022, Josu Moreno. An Austin man was charged with murder after a shooting on December 19th that led to another man crashing his truck into Lady Bird Lake, and thus dying of a gunshot wound to the head, according to police documents. Joel Santiago Gonzalez Perron, 18, has been charged in the death of Josu Moreno, 45, in the early morning of December 19th. According to the arrest warrant affidavit, Gonzalez Perron said that he thought someone else was in the truck that Moreno was operating that ended up crashing into the lake. The Austin Police Department responded to a 911 call around 3:30 a.m. about a crash in the 1100 block of West Riverside Drive, the affidavit said. Further, the caller reported hearing several gunshots, followed by a vehicle crashing through the guardrail and going over the bridge. According to police documents, Gonzalez Perron and a group of others went to the park at 1100 block of West Riverside Drive to confront another individual with whom they had a problem. That other person was at the park with another group of people. When Gonzalez Perron and his group arrived at the park, Gonzalez Perron made the other man exit their vehicle by gunpoint. People in the other man's group eventually fled by foot and in their vehicles after a number of rounds were fired, per documents. Gonzalez Perron told APD that he and another person in his group shot at a man running away from them on foot and at 3 vehicles, which included Moreno's truck. They did so as they exited the park on West Riverside Drive. Per documents, Gonzalez Perron said that he fired a single shot at the black truck that Moreno was driving, and that he thought the truck belonged to members of the group with which they had a problem. After firing the shot at Moreno's truck, Gonzalez Perron told police that he watched the vehicle crash into the bridge. It is not clear from the police documents whether Moreno had any connections with the two groups at the park.
After that, on December 28th, 2022, Kyle Thornton was found in Lady Bird Lake near the Congress Avenue Bridge Wednesday afternoon. Someone called 911 and reported there was a body in the water. There was no foul play suspected. That's it. That's all I know about Kyle Thornton. That's all I could find. It's just so odd to me. So odd to me. And the only ones that have a lot of info is when the family talks to the public and says, no, I don't care what the police are saying, there is something else going on. And this is the same case for Jason John. He was 30, and he went missing on February 5th, 2023. He was last seen walking on Rainy Street. He had previously been on a night out with friends. Jason could be seen on CCTV for 10 minutes before he dropped out of sight due to the lack of cameras in the area. His body was found on February 13th. That was like more than a week later. Police said that Jason had no visible injuries on him when he was recovered. Jason's body was found in the same area where Martin Gutierrez was found. The medical examiners ruled John's death as accident and that he died from drowning. The autopsy report says John was seen by a witness vomiting by the bank of the lake and then falling in. The witness tried to help them and then called 911. Law enforcement responded but was unable to find John at the time. Toxicology results showed John had consumed alcohol before his death, but there were no illicit substances or medications found in his blood, according to the report. John's body was found on February 13th. He was found completely dressed with all of his personal property, including his wallet and phone, in his pockets, according to the autopsy report. John had been last seen leaving Rainy Street after a night out with friends. John's death renewed calls for more security, better lighting, and cameras along the trail by the lake. The family of Jason John, whose body was found in the lake in February, believes these incidents could be connected. Even though the autopsy report states John's death was an accidental drowning, we definitely don't agree with that, said John's mother. John was 30. He mentioned Jonathan Honey's death and said there was some similarities in the case. It's very, very concerning. Maynell says that she's worried about university and Texas students who go out on Rainy Street. I know that there have been some comments on social media that is just alcohol related. And I believe it's definitely more than that. Definitely more than that. Well, I think the first thing you start with is the cause of death. What is accidental or not? It appears to be something that was done intentionally. And then secondly, is there any communality? If these are acts that appear to be intentional, was there any similar method or motive that could be at play here? John had no significant internal or external injuries, and that there were no fractures or traumatic injuries found, according to his autopsy report. Everyone's saying they need to just have lots of barriers around the lake, and there needs to be a 24-hour patrol around the lake. I have been there in nighttime, and there is nothing that is being done. It is very dark, and you can't see anything once you enter the trails. The city is budgeting nearly $1 million to provide long-term safety improvements. This includes a new camera at the trailhead, more lighting, and sidewalks along East Avenue, which are expected to be installed by the summer. All these people had to die before they realized, oh, well, maybe we need to do something about it. In recent months, we have seen Austin police kind of going up and down the trail with their horses, but yeah. With this back, it does concern me that they are not able to find out who's doing this. I feel there is a connection and there's something going on at Lady Bird Lake, and the police are choosing not to do anything about it. They need to take action. People are hurting out there. The Austin Police Department is aware of speculations regarding the recent drownings in Lady Bird Lake. Although these cases are still under investigation and evidence is being analyzed at this time, there's no evidence in any of these cases to support allegations of foul play. While each incident had occurred at the lake, the circumstances, exact locations, and demographics surrounding these cases vary. Our investigators approach every case with an open mind and objectively examine all available evidence. We work closely with the Travis County Medical Examiner's Office, which conducts a parallel investigation into all deaths. The medical examiners performed autopsies in each of these types of death investigations. The results of these autopsies have not revealed any trauma to the bodies nor indication of foul play. One common theme of the drowning in Austin this year is a combination of alcohol and easy access to Lady Bird Lake, which has numerous access points. Many of the points can be challenging to see at night. The parks in which most of these drownings have occurred are parks areas that are closed at 10 p.m. and occur after the park closes. We advise the public to follow the rules of park closures. I don't believe what the police say at all, and it is infuriating. Infuriating. Do you not know that also it could be that someone is drugging these men, and that is what's leading them into the lakes? And the bodies are not fresh, so whatever drugs were in their system could easily be out of their bodies, and some drugs don't even show up in the body. The next person is Clifton Axel. He was 40. He went missing February 25th, 2023. This is going to be covered by As the Raven Dreams. The next person we will be talking about is Jonathan Honey. He passed away April 1st, 2023, was 33 years old, and supposedly the medical examiner office said he died from drowning and was classified as accidental. Honey was in town for a bachelor party from Washington, D.C. when he reportedly went missing on March 31st. The Austin Police Department said he was drinking when he went to find food, after which he was reported missing. And as usual, the police said there was no foul play in either case of Honey's and John's. Yeah, that's just so sad. Supposedly, the city started by adding solar lighting, increased park patrols, and will be adding cameras and more permanent lighting in the future. And it's still under investigation. People who hang out on Rainy Street were shocked to hear about the discovery Saturday afternoon of Jonathan Honey after the 33-year-old went missing, seen at a taco truck on Rainy Street around 2 a.m. Friday, March 31st, and they're still investigating how he died. I am thinking maybe somebody who drank too much and fell, but if it's somebody really doing harm, it's concerning. This was from a local woman that was visiting. We were told they are unable to comment because of the ongoing investigation. His toxicology report showed there was alcohol in his system. He had no drugs in his system consistent with over-the-counter or prescribed medications.
Clifton Axtell, 40, went missing on February 25th, 2023. His body was then found on March 5th. Water rescue were called for a reported body in the water on Ladybird Lake. Rescue crews located the victim and obtained a deceased on-scene pronouncement of an adult patient. No other information was available at the time. Some info about Clifton straight from his obituary. Clifton Axtell, a beautiful, bright ball of energy, came into this world on September 29, 1982 in Plano, Texas. He was a son, brother, husband, father, nephew, uncle, and grandson. Cliff loved his family deeply. He departed this earth on March 5th, 2023, and will be profoundly missed by all who love him. The body of 40-year-old Clifton Axtell was found washed up near the lake on March 5th, 2023. He had vanished from his wife and 2 children just days prior, but the medical examiner stated that his cause of death was undetermined. It was stated that he may have fallen or entered the water, or had a natural event near the water, according to the medical examiner's report. First responders were called on the morning of March 5th, and Clifton Axtell, 40, was pronounced dead at the scene. It's unclear how the man entered the water, as it was an unwitnessed event. Unfortunately, there are often no specific findings at autopsy to confirm drowning as the cause of death, the report said, adding it is often dependent on case circumstances. Because it didn't have more information on those circumstances, it is stated that the official cause and manner of death were best certified as undetermined. The report stated the medical examiner's opinion would be updated if new information became available. Austin police previously said the death is not being investigated as suspicious. The report referenced medical records obtained from a February 23, 2023 visit that stated the man had severe depression, though he denied suicidal ideation. It is also mentioned that this visit happened days prior to him being reported missing. According to an online obituary, Axtell worked in Austin as a land specialist and loved his family deeply. We will miss his compassion, wit, kindness, and capacity to capture beauty and truth in his art. He loved writing and playing music. Cliff had the ability to energize the room with his fierce intellect and creativity. I would like to add, due to the suicidal nature of this story, if you or someone you know is in emotional distress or having a suicidal crisis, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988. Crisis counselors are available 24/7, and you are worth the time it takes to get better.
The next person we'll talk about is Christopher Hayes Clarks, and this will actually be read by As the Raven Dreams. He was found dead on April 15th, 2023.
April 15th, 2023, Christopher Hayes Clark. Austin police identified the man whose body was pulled from Lady Bird Lake on Saturday near Longhorn Dam. Officers found John Christopher Hayes Clark, 30, after responding to calls related to a possible dead body in the water in the 2700 block of Canterbury Street on April 15th at about 1:20 p.m. First responders performed a water rescue, after which Hayes Clark was pronounced dead at the scene. Police said they do not suspect foul play was involved in his death based on available information, but have also added that the investigation is still in the early stages. The police did not provide any further information at that time. Multiple people had called 911 and said that a suspect appeared to be deceased and was in the water, Austin Police Department Officer Michael Bullock said. Police did perform the water rescue and found 30-year-old John Christopher Hayes Clark. Loved ones of Christopher Hayes Clark said that he was a great father who left behind a 12-year-old boy. A bright light in my life and my son's life and in my family's life. And I just want to know what happened. I just want the world to know he didn't deserve this, Regan Aparicio, the mother of Clark's child, said. Police responded to this area of the lake after multiple people had called 911. Quote, as of right now, nothing criminal has been seen, quote. APD Public Information Officer Michael Bullock said that Saturday during a press conference. The medical examiner's office is still working to determine the cause of death. Aparicio and other loved ones of Hayes Clark want to see investigatory results more quickly. Longhorn Dam is not next to the area where the city increased safety measures following 2 recent drownings near Lady Bird Lake and Rainy Street. Police said, however, there is no evidence of foul play in these deaths. Increased patrols began 2 weeks ago. APD Assistant Chief Jeff Greenwald told KXAN that officers performed standard downtown duties like breaking up fights and, in one instance, helped a group of friends find their friend that they hadn't been able to find for a couple of hours.
And the last person that we will be talking about is Mogadoggle. As the Raven Dreams will also be covering him. He was found in the lake June 27th, 2023.
June 27th, 2023, Mogadoggle, Austin, Texas. Austin police identified the man found dead in Lady Bird Lake on Tuesday, June 27th, as Mogadoggle. This is the 5th body found in Lady Bird Lake in just 6 months. Police say that this case is not being investigated as a homicide, and that the cause of death will be determined by the medical examiner's office. When officials arrived, they found a body in the water. The victim was male. Police said they didn't have any information on a name, race, age, or if the person was homeless, stating, quote, too early for me to say anything about the manner of death, homicide, suspiciousness, anything like that, says Naus. APD encouraged people to stay safe while out on the water, stating that water can be inherently dangerous. So, we always want to be cognizant when we are along the waterway of that fact. If we're going to be on a boat, keep a personal flotation device on or readily accessible. The cause of death is unknown at this time, and the medical examiner will release that information, but it could take months.
Now, in 2024, there has been a person found in the lake, but supposedly it was a female. And their information, I think they were found in the lake in February of 2024, and their info has not been released as of yet. Now, this is going to be just me talking about all of this and my opinions, and a lot of it will be alleged, but I started kind of looking, and when I was going through all the research, it crossed my mind that what if, hear me out, I'm not sure what the orientation of these men were, but there were a lot of gay bars in that area. And what if the person that is doing this is attacking gay or bisexual men or men they thought were gay? Because it is common practice for straight men to go into gay bars. You know, I mean, even for someone like me, because they're a lot more fun. And sometimes you have a gay friend and you go in there with your gay friend, but you're straight. It's just a normal thing that happens. It just makes me wonder. That's one of my theories. And then if you notice, a lot of these men were visitors. They were not residents of Austin. I meant, could this be someone trying to attack tourists? I meant, it would make it easier for it to be investigated because they're not from that area. I don't know, but I really feel that the police have dropped the ball. I feel they're finally starting to go, the last 3 deaths, they're still investigating supposedly. But to be honest, I really feel like someone is doing this. I'm not sure exactly how they're doing it. But if you notice throughout the years, it jumps really high. More than 5 bodies a year now. And these bars have been there for years and years and years before any of this happened. This district has been there. The area where you go and you walk down the road and there's bars lining the street and it's somewhere where you party, and restaurants and bars and fun things to do. Have been there for years, y'all. And if this is something that the lake never had, lighting and all this stuff, you would see more people drowning prior to this. If it was a case of, they got intoxicated and they went down to the lake and just fell off and drowned. Yeah, that does not add up at all. People really, and so do I, feel in Austin that there was someone drugging these people. And either they're so drugged and they're doing it on purpose and they're ending up in the lake by themselves because they're so drugged out of their mind, not the fault of their own, and they end up drowning, or someone's drugging them and getting them into the lake somehow, pulling them in and drowning them and making it seem like a natural drowning and nothing else happened to them. Also, it's heartbreaking because, when I was talking to my husband about the whole gay bar thing, he said, also, you got to think about it. What if, a lot of men are closeted and they do rendezvous in a privately area. And what if, someone's flirting with them and going, hey, I know a great place. Let's go down to the lake. There's no one there. We'll be able to have some, romantic time with no one bothering us. And they force them down to the lake. And then they course them into the water or some other way. And they end up drowning them in the lake. That was a thought he had. And it makes sense, if that is what's happening. But a lot of these men, you can't really tell. And it wasn't ever said, their sexual orientation. But you never know. If we knew all of these men's real sexual orientations or what they prefer or whatever, then that would be a big red flag. And I have no idea if the police even have thought about this, even to check into this. Because it seems like they don't give a damn and they're not checking into nothing. I think only 2 females have been found in the lake since all this started happening, but all of them are male. All these are men. And they're in a specific age range, and a lot of them are not from this area. They're just visiting, and a lot of them are found where other bodies were found exactly the same way. And to me, that is not a coincidence. It's just not. And since this area is not patrolled and it scares people in Austin, they are really terrified. And I'm terrified for them. To think that there is a modern day serial killer out there blows my mind. And just to think that they have not been found and nothing has been seen is crazy. And, a lot of people, there have been talk that maybe it's the smiley face killer because the smiley face killer has never been found. And he would kill exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. But he would leave his trademark smiley face sticker or smiley face somewhere around the area it's like his calling card or whatever they call it. Not a lot of these have actually found any of that. And you never know. He might have changed his mind and stopped putting a smiley face. I don't know, but to me, more than 5 deaths a year in the same lake, just all of a sudden, is not normal. It is not normal. It is not. And the police really need to get off their asses and do something, because this is going to continue into this year. Already in February, one body found in the lake. That just blows my mind. They need to just cut this lake off. And also, I've also thought of, what if it's something like paranormal or like a curse or something? They should call this lake Death Lake, to be honest. And it just seems like there's so many issues. And there have been other deaths in the lake. A lot more of other deaths in the lake. But they were really from the person was out there in a paddle boat or canoe or kayak and they drowned. And people saw them drowned. And they know how they died. It wasn't suspicious. It wasn't randomly in the middle of the night and they find them dead in the morning. It wasn't like that. So I did not put those people in here. I am mainly talking about the weird and mysterious deaths Lady Bird Lake in Austin, Texas. And I am very sorry to all of the family that have lost amazing people in their lives and they're not getting any justice. It breaks my heart. And especially people that are not from here and don't really know about the lake and everything else. It's important to put more fences up. It's important to, they can put fences up and just leave the boat, certain areas opened, like the boat ramps and stuff like that, to keep people safe, to deter them from going to the edge and jumping in or whatever they want to say is happening. But I feel like there is a cover-up going on here, and allegedly, I have to say alleged because they are still investigating. I know that whoever is doing this, if they're out there, they're probably listening and getting off on all of the news articles and reliving the deaths. And I just want to say you're disgusting and despicable. I hope that God and karma will come for you. I want to say that my condolences go to the family. And, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel about it. What are your theories? Let's talk about it. If I left something big out, please let me know. If you're in Austin, Texas, please be careful. In the historic district area, the Rainy Street area, where all the bars and everything else is, please be careful. Keep tabs on your friends. Don't let them walk around by themselves. Do not let them go by themselves because they might end up in this lake. Thank you so much for As a Raven Dreams for helping me with this video today. There was just so much information, and please go check him out. He's an amazing narrator. Please like and subscribe. Please be safe out there, y'all. Until next time.
We know full well there's just time. So is it wrong to dance this line? If your heart was full of love, could you give it up? Cause what about angels? They will come, they will go and make us special. Don't give me up. Been down the rabbit hole, swore I would never go back to bad habits. I'm through. Around and around we go, sick of the vertigo. Abracadabra, screw you. White lies, red eyes. I've had enough fake lies. Surprise.